Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's hard-hitting. It's riveting. It's the much-talked-about cover story during Nationwide at 5. Here Cliff Hughes get to the heart of the story of the day. Cover Story, aired 5:30 weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Nationwide at 5. Talk radio at its best. Cover Story.
Cover Story is brought to you by...
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is...
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is...
It's 34 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, no chikungunya or CHIKV infection detected in Jamaica at this time.
Councillor Hubert Williams accused of illegally occupying government-owned lands and encouraging others to do the same.
Jamaicans are being urged to be on the alert for malware attacks when using ABMs.
There has been, over the last 6 months, a 46% increase in malware attack on ATMs.
The opposition says the government is not doing enough to address known crash hotspot areas across the country.
The PNP's Damian Crawford says the Jamaica Teaching Council bill is being likened as the Teachers' Indicum.
The Teachers' Indicum, aka the JTC, which intent was to punish teachers more so than to facilitate teachers.
In news from the rest of the world, Bahamian judge orders release of Jamaican ex-convict.
President Macron says France will recognize Palestinian state.
In headline sports, a Jamaican Olympian heads to Asia as the first sports advisor in the Jamaica-Japan exchange program.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, students entering grade 7 who are identified as struggling will have a reduced subject load of 6 as opposed to 10 or more. We'll get reactions from JTA President Dr. Mark Smith, NPTHA President Stuart Jacobs, and President of the National Secondary Students Council, Brian Anderson.
From 6 to 8, we'll broadcast live from the Mona School of Business and Management Executive Lecture Theatre at the University of the West Indies for the KRV's new Jamaica Vision Town Hall meeting. You'll hear from the KRV's founder, Andrew Donahue.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app. It's available on Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, July 24, 2025.
This hour is brought to you by KFC, celebrating 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says no chikungunya or CHIKV infection has been detected in Jamaica at this time. He was reacting to the World Health Organization, WHO's warning to countries to be on the lookout for an outbreak of the virus.
We have continued to do surveillance as part of our routine exercise across the country, and these illnesses would be requiring of notification if they have been detected. As it relates to the CHIKV, we have not had any notification to that effect that there is any contamination or anyone being infected by that virus. We've had cause to do some tests, but those tests have all come up negative. Of course, we continue to monitor the situation As it relates to dengue, I mean, dengue is endemic, and from time to time you will find some cases, but not to the point where it is at an alert phase where we have a cause for concern.
Chikungunya, commonly referred to as CHIKV, is transmitted through the bite of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Symptoms associated with the virus include fever, rash, and severe joint pain that can last for weeks. On Tuesday, the WHO sounded the alarm about a rapid spread of the virus from 3 Indian Ocean islands to Africa. It says parts of Southeast Asia are also experiencing outbreaks. Imported infections have also been detected in Europe, including local transmission in France and suspected cases in Italy. In 2014, Jamaica experienced a significant outbreak of the viral disease. The ministry's National Epidemiology Unit stated there were over 5,000 cases of the disease by the end of 2015. Dr. Tufton says his ministry will continue its vector control measures.
What we have to do right now is to prepare for the season. The season is approaching, the rainy season being the trigger for more breeding sites. And up to this point, it's really about the preparation to try and minimize or prevent, which means movement of solid waste, public education at the community level and the household, and also ensuring that the hospital system can treat with any cases that may come up. But that's where we are right now.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health.
Former mayor of Morant Bay and councillor for the White Horses Division in St. Thomas, the PNP's Hubert Williams is being accused of illegally occupying government-owned lands while encouraging others to do the same by SCJ Holdings Limited. The stunning allegations are outlined in a report by the government-owned company, which is actively engaged in a land regularization initiative at the Morant estate in the parish. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
SCJ Holdings is trying to promote agricultural development, provide land tenure security, and encourage responsible land stewardship in St. Thomas. According to SCJ Holdings Managing Director Nigel Myrie, councillor for the White Horses Division and former mayor of Morant Bay, Hubert Ryan Williams, is actively undermining this mandate. The allegations are outlined in a report by Mr. Myrie to SCJ Holdings Chairman Cleveland Allen, dated July 22, 2025. Nationwide News has seen a copy of the document. The report claims Councillor Williams is unlawfully using approximately 10 acres at Morant Estate and another 5.35 acres at PGR Estate in eastern St. Thomas. According to SCJ Holdings, he has refused to sign lease agreements and now owes nearly $250,000 in lease fees. The allegations go even deeper. Mr. Myrie accuses the former mayor of encouraging others to skirt the law. In the report, Councillor Williams is accused of disrupting an SCJ Holdings stakeholders meeting on July 17 near McQuinney's Hardware in Morant Bay. The meeting was to brief informal land occupants about the legal regularization process. According to the report, Councillor Williams entered the meeting with several associates. He proceeded to label SCJ Holdings officials as scammers, questioned the agency's claim of ownership of the land, and instructed attendees not to sign any documents. He also allegedly suggested that the land would be handed over free of charge under a future PNP government. SCJ Holdings officials says his statements caused confusion and mistrust among residents and undermined months of community outreach. They are also concerned that Councillor Williams, an alleged tractor operator, may personally benefit from maintaining the illegal squatting. In response, SCJ Holdings has urged that a formal legal review be conducted into Councillor Williams' occupation, with enforcement of lease and property law remedies where applicable. They have similarly requested intervention from the Ministry of Local Government to examine whether Councillor Williams' actions as an elected official are appropriate. The agency has also called for the matter to be referred to appropriate authorities for further investigation, suggesting that Councillor Williams may have interfered with lawful administrative proceedings or incited non-compliance. This is not the first time public concern has been raised about Councillor Williams. Just days ago, he was charged with assault and obstruction of justice following an altercation with police. The matter is scheduled to proceed in the St. Thomas Parish Court on August 13. When contacted to respond to the allegations, Councillor Williams refused to speak with Nationwide News. Our reporter insisted he take the opportunity to respond to the allegations outlined in the report. And attempts to contact Mr. Williams' attorney were also unsuccessful. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Jamaicans are being urged to be on the alert for malware attacks when using automated banking machines, ABMs. The alarm was raised by Managing Director of MCSIP Systems, Dwayne Russell, at a recent cybersecurity forum. He noted that since the start of the year, there's been an over 40% increase in ABM malware attacks in the Caribbean and Latin America. Mr. Russell says his company is actively working with local institutions to prepare for such attacks.
It's not here as yet, but we do support ATMs outside of Jamaica. There has been, over the last 6 months, a 46% increase in malware attack on ATMs. Luckily for us, that's not the case yet, but we are aware of that. What we're doing as MC Systems with our products and services is that, one, we ensure that just like all of our engineers are certified, we're up to date in terms of some of these attacks. We're also using AI to help us to kind of understand how we use our software.
MC Systems provides the hardware and software for nearly half of Jamaica's ABMs. Mr. Russell is urging financial institutions and service providers to act quickly. He added that ABM malware attacks involve malicious software designed to compromise the machines, allowing attackers to steal cash or access sensitive information. The attacks can be carried out through various methods, including physical access to the ABM, network infiltration, or even remote exploitation.
Pretty much what the guys are doing is, since you make your network so secure, etc., we're going to find some way to get to where you have your processing and memory, and just do an attack on that and take control, bypass all of these security configuration. Very, very effective. What that means is that, once again, we have to lock down everything to make sure that everything is being monitored.
Dwayne Russell, Managing Director of MC Systems.
The increase in road fatalities has sparked fresh criticisms of the opposition, PNP, that the government is not doing enough to address known crash hotspot areas in the country. Spokesman on Transport Mikhail Phillips expressed his disappointment during a virtual meeting put on by the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services TODS on Wednesday.
If you look at many of the hotspots are roads that are in dire need of rehabilitation, and the attention has not been put on those hotspots, as the data is there where the hotspots are. And I expected that government themselves, through the National Works Agency, would have done some work in reducing the accidents and fatalities in those hotspot areas.
223 people have died in fatal crashes since the start of the year. That's according to the latest data from the Island Traffic Authority. It says fatalities have increased by 4% when compared to last year's review period. The latest incident occurred on Monday on the Queen's Highway in Discovery Bay, St. Anne. 3 people were killed, while 7 others, including 2 toddlers, were injured. The injured persons remain hospitalized. Mr. Phillips argues that without urgent action, the increase in road fatalities will continue.
A little bit disappointed in how much it is that we do spend on public awareness. The minister made some pronouncement that percentage of the monies that they collect from ticketing would go towards a public awareness campaign. We have seen dribs of it, but I'm not satisfied that we're doing enough to sensitize the population. It is sad that we have not been able to reduce the numbers of fatalities. The high fines that was put in the Road Safety Act is just one deterrent. But if we do not enforce the law, then we will not see the reduction.
Mikhail Phillips, opposition spokesman on transport.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5 more news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
13 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 33 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 in Montego Bay.
If a hurricane mash up your house tomorrow, would your insurance fully cover it? Many Jamaicans are underinsured and don't even know it. One hurricane, and they could be paying millions out of pocket. BCIC's free property valuation tool is here to help everyone update their home's rebuilding cost. Plus, when you update your sum insured with BCIC, you'll get $5 million in free contents insurance and up to 12 months to pay. Visit bciconline.com.
Continuing the news, Teachers Indicum, that's the term opposition spokesperson on education, Senator Damian Crawford, says is being used to describe the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill. He made the claim at a PNP policy breakfast on Thursday. Mahir Stewart has that story.
According to Senator Damian Crawford, the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill is being termed the Teachers Indicum because it's a widely held belief that the measures outlined in the proposed legislations are aimed at punishing teachers. When pressed to explain the terminology, Senator Crawford told members of the press in attendance at his policy breakfast that the teachers' criticism of the bill is similar to the police's concerns about the Independent Commission of Investigation's Indicum. The commission investigates the conduct of the security forces and other agents of the state.
The Teachers Indicum, aka the JTC, which intent was to punish teachers more so than to facilitate teachers. But it aimed to punish, it didn't aim to facilitate. What was in that bill to say we're promoting? As we said, we were concerned. A teacher can be brought before the JTC without having the capacity to afford legal representation. The police have been complaining about that with Indicum, that when they go in front of Indicum, they too have to find their own money. Even when proven not guilty, you get the punishment of the financial burden that you had paid to clear your own name. Principal cannot know that a teacher is under investigation until the person is removed. So the vast majority of things within the bill is to act as if the teacher is the problem because the government is seeking to absolve themselves.
Senator Crawford notes that the government is using the JTC bill to deflect from its responsibility for poor performance being detected in schools.
When you don't appreciate the importance of the individual, like in this case the police or in my case the teachers, then you put things like the JTC bill that diminishes their contribution to sell the narrative that is not your fault. Take all the teachers from Campion and carry them to Denham Town High School, and take all the teachers from Denham Town and carry them to Campion. And you tell me if that and that alone will make Denham Town become Campion and Campion become Denham Town. The circumstances I've highlighted of all the gaps is the reason for Denham Town underperforming. But you take the same teacher and remove those gaps. So what the government is trying to sell with the JTC bill is don't blame us for the 18%.
The JTC bill was passed in the Senate with 38 amendments in April. It received bipartisan support. But according to Senator Crawford, the opposition had no power to stop the passage of the bill.
It was a simple majority bill. A simple majority bill means that the government automatically passes it with their numbers. So the opposition have no capacity to stop a simple majority bill. In that debate, every single thing that I highlighted now and after, I highlighted in the debate and asked them to consider. They refused to consider. They didn't vote in, and the norm within the parliament is when there's a simple majority bill, you allow the government to say aye and you say no. So the opposition played no role in passing it. The opposition actually questioned it, queried it, and said no to it. They decided to full speed ahead. However, they recognize that it hasn't been carried back to the parliament because their only thing is to create a narrative, not to create a nation. So if they believed in it, they would have still carried, but they want an election.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The Court Administration Division CAD has announced the temporary closure of the Hanover Police Court, Parish Court, that should be, Green Island Outstation, due to serious structural issues. Communications Director for the division, Kadish Jarrett Fletcher, says all matters previously scheduled to be heard at the outstation will now take place at the Hanover Parish Court in Lucy until further notice.
The closure of the court became necessary because of critical structural deficiencies which were identified at the court and which require immediate and extensive remedial work to ensure the continued safety of members of the public and court staff.
Kadish Jarrett Fletcher, CAD's Communications Director. Litigants and members of the public who are uncertain about their court dates are advised to contact the Hanover Parish Court at 876-553-6956 for further guidance.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
A judge in the Bahamas has ordered the release of a Jamaican ex-convict who was detained past the expiration date of a deportation order. Justice Dale Fitzpatrick granted Jarvon Green's habeas corpus petition on Wednesday after finding that his detention was unlawful. On February 7, Green, who is disabled and uses a wheelchair, completed an 8-year sentence for causing dangerous harm. The charge stemmed from an incident in which Green deliberately knocked down a man with his van following an argument in December 2018. Following the completion of Green's sentence, a deportation order was signed, which was valid for 90 days. A detention order was also signed by the Governor General. The deportation order expired in May, but Green remained in custody. The Department of Immigration told the court that attempts to deport Green within the time frame was frustrated by Jamaican authorities. The decision does not prevent authorities from arresting Green, as he does not have legal status in the country.
French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that France will recognize Palestine as a state. The move comes amid growing global anger over people starving in Gaza. Macron said in a post on X that he will formalize the decision at the United Nations General Assembly in September. The French president offered support for Israel after the October 2023 Hamas attacks and frequently speaks out against anti-Semitism. But he has grown increasingly frustrated about Israel's war in Gaza, especially in recent months. Macron also posted a letter he sent to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas about the decision. France is the biggest and most powerful European country to recognize Palestine. The Israeli Foreign Ministry has not released any comment on the move.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, no chikungunya or CHIKV infection detected in Jamaica at this time.
Councillor Hubert Williams accused of illegally occupying government-owned lands and encouraging others to do the same.
Jamaicans are being urged to be on the alert for malware attacks when using ABMs.
The opposition says the government is not doing enough to address known crash hotspot areas across the country.
I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, tomorrow morning at 6.
I use the Radar app to help source my seeds and also my seedlings.
Me run my farm as a business, so I use the app for weather forecast and crop planning.
When we need the extension officer, we just book a visit on the app. Quick time she reach. We check pest alert every morning. Me not make her mash up my grub.
Real farmers, real support, real easy. Crop Radar and Farm Smarter. Get the mobile app on Android and iOS.
Are you burning up with this summer heat?
The place hot, man.
Get cool now with a Hisense air conditioner.
I feel good.
With advanced energy-saving inverter technology and whisper quiet operation, beat this heat with Hisense. Available at Aliabra Brands Limited, 64 Hagley Park Road, or call 876-676-5951 now.
So good, so good. I got to you.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Good afternoon with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We bowl things off with some cricket as Jamaica lost by 76 runs to the Windward Islands at St. Mary's Park in St. Kitts on Thursday in their third place playoff of the West Indies Rising Star Under-19 men's cricket tournament. Kurt Murray, 62, and captain Stefan Pascal, 60, combined to help the Windwards to 226 all-out in 46 overs. Ersing Hu Fontaine, 45, also scored well against Vittel Laws, 3 for 39, and 2 wickets each for Revon Morgan and Tamari Redwood. The Jamaicans' reply lasted only 26 overs and 5 balls as they were dismissed for 150. Only Captain Brian Barnes, 46, and Tyreek Bryan, 29, made any scores of worth against Theo Edwards and Cody Fontenelle, 3 wickets each. Barbados won the title after beating the previously unbeaten US 1 by 6 wickets at Canary. The Americans made 212 all-out in 48.2 overs, and Barbados replied with 215 for 4 in 38.2 overs. Captain of the West Indies, Shai Hope, says they need to build on the positives from the first 2 T20 International against Australia for the third match in St. Kitts on July 25. Australia lead the series 2-0 following an 8-wicket win in the second match at Sabina Park on Tuesday. In the first match, Hope and Ruston Chase made a half-century and shared in a 91-runs second-wicket partnership. Meanwhile, the bowlers had the Tories struggling on 78 for 4 after 9 overs before Cameron Green and Mitch Owen shared in an 80-runs fifth-wicket partnership to strengthen the innings. The second match, Brandon King made a half-century while Andre Russell made 36. Hope says the Caribbean side need to build on their strong starts.
From a bowling standpoint, we've been getting wickets with a new ball, something that we keep speaking about all the time. We want to make sure we put some pressure on the opposition whenever we start in the bowling department. And Kingy back and he runs again. He's been playing really well throughout the series, tests and now the T20s. So we still got some confidence we could take into the next couple of games. And we need to feed off of those good performances that we would have had and look to turn things around in St. Kitts.
Shai Hope. Now to netballers, President of Netball Jamaica, Karen Barr, revealed that the association is in need of a financial boost to assist the country's under-21 team to the upcoming Netball Youth World Cup set for Gibraltar from September 19 to 28. Barr explained that the government and the Jamaica Public Service has already given assistance, but there's still a gap to be filled to the tune of over $10 million.
11 to 12 million is what the shortfall is, because Gibraltar is far away and quite expensive. So yeah, that's where we are in terms of the shortfall. Yeah.
This year's staging of the Youth World Cup is the first since the 2017 edition. Jamaica are 2-time medalists at the tournament, having won bronze in 2013 and silver in 2000. According to the president, while they face financial challenges, the preparation of the team hasn't been affected.
So the preparation is not being impacted. They've been in camp since the beginning of June, and they'll break over the holidays here and then come back. So the preparation, that's where we've been focused, while in the background we're doing the fundraising to complete the preparations for their departure. So in terms of their actual preparation and working with the coach and being able to have the camp and those things, that's not being impacted.
Karen Barr. Now to track and field, sports analyst Leighton Levy believes the men's 4x100 meters relay world record could come under threat if Jamaica is able to field its strongest team at the World Championships in Tokyo in September. The men's sprint relay world record is 36.84 seconds, set by Jamaica at the 2012 London Olympics. The team consisted of Nesta Carter, Michael Frater, Ewan Blake, and Usain Bolt. Speaking on his Instagram social media platform, Levy says a new Jamaican quartet could own that 13-year-old record at the end of the championships.
Grand Level running 9.82 in Austria. And it brings a very exciting dynamic and an exciting possibility. Back in 2012, 4 men who set the world record of 36.84 in London, the Olympic Games in London. Nesta Carter 9.95, Michael Frater 9.94, Johan Blake 9.69, Usain Bolt 9.63, combined 37.21. Now as of today, 9.82 from Brandeville, 9.83 from Oblique Seville, 9.88 from Akeem Blake, and 9.75 from Kishane Thompson. add up to 37.28. That's how close these guys are to the world record. So in 8 weeks, with the guys possibly faster, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Get the stick around, world record could be under threat. That's what I'm thinking. I'm very excited by that. Are you?
Leighton Levy, Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the World Championships. I'm Alex Swiby, and that's your sports.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:29.
Bosco Bell St. Mary is your newest gateway to Miami. Daily flights are available for your convenience. The temperature brought to you by the Airport Authority of Jamaica is
33 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 29 in Montego Bay.
GPS. Keep it cool, keep it cool. Summertime hot, but we have all the tools. Keep it cool, keep it cool. Enough ways to see it, you just have to choose. Stay out of the fridge, just use a igloo. Remember your Kisco ice and the juice. If an AC combo, yeah, I hit that. AC for a bit, then a fan after that. Keep it cool, keep it cool. This summer JPS have all the tools. Keep you cool with JPS. Download the JPS app today.
KFC this summer, we are bucket together.
All a vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good.
KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion.
All of we connect with the KFC.
Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucket together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger licking good. KFC.
Now, PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV.
You wanna do your thing with your queen or your king?
Or I get a little frisky that make you flex frisky.
PrEP, I extra bucketed.
To help you say HIV negative.
PrEP makes it so easy. One pill before you link, prevent HIV. PrEP tablets available at your clinic from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
KFC this summer, we are bucket together.
All a vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good.
KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion.
All of we connect with the KFC.
Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucket together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger licking good. KFC.
This July, the world turns to Jamaica
for the Caribbean Investment Forum, the region's premier investment event.
From July 29 to 31, the Montego Bay Convention Center comes alive
with global thought leaders, exclusive investment opportunities, high-impact deal-making sessions.
Are you ready to invest in the Caribbean's future? Book now at CaribbeanInvestmentForum.com.
Let's shape a smart, green, connected Caribbean. July 29 to 31, Montego Bay. Powered by Caribbean Export, Government of Jamaica, Jampro, EU, CARICOM, Republic Bank, and IDB.
Get ready for Nationwide 90 FM at Demby. Follow Nationwide 90 FM to the Demby Agricultural Industrial Food Show on August 1 from 1 to 5 p.m. We're bringing you the vibes, the voices, and the vibrant culture from Jamaica's biggest agri-celebration. Then, follow back away again to Demby on August 2 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. From farm to fork, youth in agriculture, and the best local produce, you'll hear it all. Keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM. We're bringing the Demby Agricultural Industrial Food Show to your airways on August 1 from 1 to 5 p.m., then on August 2 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. This broadcast is brought to you by the National Land Agency, the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Limited, and the Jamaica 4-H Club.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Come out in your numbers as the Jamaica Labour Party Area Council 1 presents in Andrew Northwestern Choose Jamaica constituency meeting this Sunday at the Sherlock Crescent Community Centre, 5 p.m. sharp. Come here, champion Deputy Leader Desmond McKenzie, host Member of Parliament Dwayne Smith, MPs Juliet Holness, Delroy Chuck, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, Senators Cavan, Galen, Marlon Morgan, Live Wire, Venetia Phillips and others. Jamaica Labour Party active and strong in St. Andrew Northwestern. Constituency meeting this Sunday, Sherlock Crescent Community Centre, 5 p.m. We choose Jamaica. See you there.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink, access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:36. Welcome to the Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and to our listeners. And we're continuing a discussion that we started yesterday. And that's where we indicated that students entering grade 7 who were identified to be struggling will be allowed to do 6 subjects as opposed to 10 or more. The change was announced during the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, that's ETOC, their quarterly media briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister, which was held on Wednesday. The Chief Education Officer, Terrian Thomas Gale, says the ministry will use its curriculum instruction and assessment roadmap to determine which students need to reduce their student load, or their subject load, that is.
That roadmap outlines the ministry's pathway policy, which speaks to customization of the curriculum based on where the students are.
When our students who are on Pathway 3, they improve, they are given additional work so as to move them from Pathway 3 onto Pathway 2 or 1. And so what we're doing this year, it's not really new. It is really management of the policy, customizing the policy, packaging it in workable ways for our school leaders and for the education system.
That's Terrian Thomas Gale. She's the Chief Education Officer. And Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says the measure is being implemented to help the students who struggled with literacy at the secondary level.
We recognize that there are already children who are leaving primary school who may not be at the level of literacy that they need to be in order to learn in a high school setting. And so the change is being made to add more flexibility, to reduce the number of subjects, are extremely important. And so we have said to the principals, flexibility is yours. And so if you feel there is a way to do it, talk to us at the ministry. But we're also saying to our schools, if you need to cut the curriculum, you don't need to do all those subjects.
Well, that's Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, and she's the country's education minister. Well, for reactions, we are being joined by the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, that's the JTA, Dr. Mark Smith. We also have the president of the National Parent Teachers Association of Jamaica, Stuart Jacobs, and the president of the National Secondary School Students Council, Brian Anderson. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, President Smith and Mr.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Good afternoon to
Thank
you all.
Good afternoon. Let me start with you, Dr. Smith. Do teachers support the move to let struggling grade 7 students take only 6 subjects instead of the 10?
Certainly. Thank you, of course, for the opportunity to speak on the matter. The reality is what is most important is that schools be given greater autonomy in terms of being able to tailor programming for the students who are struggling. And the truth is, I've often articulated the need for us to focus with laser-like precision on literacy and numeracy, particularly in schools that the children come with great deficits in those 2 subjects. We have to understand that as far as the concepts of modern intelligence is, literacy and numeracy are the building blocks of the whole construct of modern intelligence. And so we have to understand that providing this greater wiggle room or flexibility is a good move in the right direction.
And Stuart Jacobs, from where the parents sit, how does this initiative sound?
It's welcoming. Totally agree with it, and we welcome it. I want to take the opportunity to thank the bodies in the ministry and EPOC that went about looking at it, showing the diversity of how they are thinking. They're really thinking for the students. They're really thinking for the education system. The fact that students will now have the opportunity to strengthen their weak areas rather than having to contend with just finishing the curriculum. This, of course, will put them in a good stead to prepare for their culminating exams after being placed on the most suitable pathway, which is to take them to TVET, City and Guild, etc. And for us parents, it means that come September, for those of the students that are going to be placed on the 6 subjects, 7 subjects other than the 10, it means that we can now monitor closer and feel a little bit more relieved that our children are performing at their pace rather than performing at the pace of the whole pack. Because there are children who are slow movers. They will come on at the end of the race, but they can't move with the pack at the same time. And so what this does, it really puts them in stead to show their strengths, or you can build on their strengths, the challenges. We can work the program that will get them to where they ought to be, which is with the pack. And so we really welcome it. It is a relief going into the new school year, and I hope that the entire system continues to be reviewed as it is being reviewed. We welcome it.
Let me hear you. Let me hear Brian from the Students' Council's perspective. What are your thoughts?
So I believe and understand that this intention is good and clearly meant to help those students that struggle.
Mr. Anderson.
I'm sorry, we're hardly hearing you. If you could speak up a bit.
We're going to check your line, Mr. Anderson. It seems there is a bad connection, so we'll get right back to you to get your reaction. But until then, Dr. Smith, from the perspective of the teachers, do you consider this to be an additional burden in terms of separating students to put them into their own pathway in order to essentially do an additional remedial work, so to speak, so that they can catch up to their peers? Do you see that as putting an additional burden on the teachers?
No, I don't see it as a additional burden at all. And in fact, many schools have actually gone ahead and taken the initiative to develop special programs to cater to students. It's part of good governance and management of an institution. Where necessary, many have written to the ministry seeking approval to tailor programs. But I think what the minister is attempting to do, and the ministry by extension, is pretty much giving a green light to that level of flexibility and autonomy of schools. And I think that is a push in the right direction. And you look at many education systems that do very well at targeting and meeting students where they are, ensuring that the programs are fit for purpose. It really provides greater autonomy to the leadership and the teachers in the school to tailor programs to meet the children where they are. You see, fundamentally, as I've said from taking office, is that we have to address the significant deficits we have within literacy and numeracy and tackle it as early as possible. By the time they get to high school, a child is not reading at required level. It costs us 10 times more to do the remedial work than if this was resolved at the primary level. There's also the host of challenges they come with in terms of us going through adolescence and the changes and the shame that many of them feel in not meeting those performance benchmarks. And so it's very important that a lot of resources, and when I talk about the resources, I'm speaking about putting the money into the schools that they can afford to fund proper reading interventions. Oftentimes, the parents cannot afford it. And so it requires teachers many times going into their own pockets. If you see, they have to be selling doing various fundraisers, to make money to buy the type of material necessary. Because children, for instance, who may suffer from some of these challenges, they may need a more print-rich environment. You may need special software to support there. And when I go there and I go across the length and breadth of the island, that is a frustration that many teachers see. We talk about it, but you need the resources to ensure that the teachers are able to deliver. Yeah, we have the competencies within our schools. The teachers are highly motivated in order to address these issues. The challenge oftentimes is that they're woefully underfunded, and that's where we need to tackle.
Hold it for us. We're up on a break. Let's take the break and come back.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:46.
KFC this summer, we are bucket together. All I vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion. All of we connect with the KFC. Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucket together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket, because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking a continuation of yesterday's program. We're talking about the new seventh grade initiative, rather, to help struggling students. We have with us the president. Oh dear, I understand that we're having some problems with the line, but we are still discussing this matter of the 7th grade curriculum for struggling students. Sanjay, I understand where the ministry is coming from in terms of putting this initiative in place, and I think it's a very good idea. But as the JTA president pointed out, it's going to come down to a matter of resources and how we and where we appropriate those resources in terms of assisting these students in giving them the special additional help that they require in order to bring them up to speed. So I would like to hear a plan as to how they intend to roll out this initiative in terms of not only the schools that we know, the traditional high schools who might have those resources already allocated, but those schools that are low down in terms of the resources that they themselves can allocate towards such a specialized program.
The other thing for me, Siobhan, I hear the JTA president supporting the need for greater autonomy among the schools, but the ministry did indicate that they're utilizing and relying on the curriculum instruction and the assessment roadmap. And I wanted to put to him, how is it that we're going to find that balance? Because the autonomy is there, as he indicated, and it's welcome, but how do we ensure and prevent increased autonomy and that leading to inconsistent standards around the school, among different schools? And that is something that we also have to put in the mix with all that is happening. Yeah.
I understand we have the JTA president back with us. We're trying to contact with the other two gentlemen.
Well, let me put the question to you, JTA president, because as I indicated, you have been celebrating the fact that there will be greater autonomy, but how do we prevent increased autonomy from leading to inconsistent standards or the misclassification of students across different schools?
Well, that's a very good question, but we need to understand something. Countries that tend to bind this idea of, a lot of standardized testing as a means of achieving performance benchmark have found or been very disappointed with the results. It is fundamentally understanding what are the performance targets that you want to achieve and being able to design and tailor it. So if you were to take example, the realities of Finland. Finland gives a lot of autonomy to their teachers. A lot rests with the respective school administrations to manage the quality of the engagement and to ensure that the performance targets, because we have those performance targets, we know what progress we'd like them to make at every junction. So working in tandem with the Ministry of Education, school administrators, teachers, the students and the parents are able to move the children along a developmental trajectory. And so this can be achieved as long as we are using the monitoring mechanisms that exist. Not only that, we do have standardized exams at the end of the period, but sometimes we get obsessed with this notion that we standardize right across the board. Yes, standards are important, but we need to understand that children develop along different learning trajectories. And so not all 11-year-olds operate at the same level. And so we need to ensure wherever that child is, our job is ensuring that the education system at its basic level, that's the teacher with the student in that classroom, is purpose fit and meeting that child at their performance level. What I think is very important for us, and we often miss it in the conversation, is really the significant challenges we're facing as relates to the number of children who are being diagnosed and we suspect are somewhere on the special needs spectrum. This is something we don't want to talk about often. Some students are suspect of having, in fact, a lot of those students are somewhere on the spectrum, and we need to ensure that we're able to provide the level of support. The MicroCare Diagnostic Center, for instance, is overwhelmed. We have teachers making recommendations for students to be assessed, and it's taking 2-3 years. It is very frustrating. It's one of the areas I put a lot of attention into, and it is heartbreaking. Not only that, we also have issues with parents who are in denial. So they think there's nothing wrong with their child, when clearly they're not meeting those developmental. So we have to do a lot of work in catching it. And what we do know with special needs support is that the earlier we can make the intervention, the greater likelihood we can make corrections. So something, for instance, like dyslexia, if we are able to identify, do the proper assessment, the screening, the assessment, then we're able to bring in the level of support for the child. But there's a cost associated with it, and that's where the state has a huge responsibility. But again, we are not able to meet those demands that we presently see in the system, and we have to tackle them. That's a part of what we're seeing with the higher than expected rates of underperformance.
Yeah. Let me find out though, because have you had any discussions with the ministry about how they will provide the additional resources needed to support the students who are placed on this reduced subject track, as I would call it? Because it's an excellent point that you have raised, the need for the necessary resources to assist these students now so that they can get the necessary support that they need, they should have.
Thank you. Listen, that is I speak about that virtually every single time I meet with ministry officials. They need to get the finance. We talk a lot about their budgetary allocation to education. We need to understand a lot of that goes into bureaucracy and not into the teacher and the student funding what's happening in the classroom. Many of our classrooms are way behind where they ought to be in terms of the physical infrastructure as well as the type of resources that are needed in order to support and supplement effective learning. And so our dialogue, our advocacy has consistently been around the need for greater injection of resources.
Of capital and resources, yes.
So that is very important. And I think that, we can talk a lot about, creating interventions, but we need to put the resources in so we can actually achieve it and close those learning gaps.
We don't want to end the conversation without at least talking to Mr. Anderson. He's the president of the National Secondary Students Council, and I would love to get your view on this whole matter of helping struggling students by reducing the workload at the 7th grade level, Mr. Anderson, as your peers will be the ones who would benefit from this.
Okay, you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. So we understand and agree with the intention behind limiting the subjects or grades on students, especially for those who are struggling. We should focus more on the core subjects like math, English, science, that can help build strong academic foundation and improve overall performance of these students. However, we believe that it must be implemented carefully. Students should not feel disadvantaged in the process or less than other students that are doing more subjects. We must specifically focus on how it is being implemented. Limiting students to 6 subjects could unintentionally close doors in their academic journey. So we should focus more on how we support these students and not necessarily limiting their options. However, while the intention is good, we believe that the implementation requires more thought. So we can look at the transition from grade 6 to grade 7. A lot of the times the students are struggling because they're introduced to more subjects. The difficulty of the subjects increase. So they often struggle with that. We also need to look at the impact that we see the students of doing only 6 subjects. And we need to also look at how limiting the number of subjects could potentially prevent the student from discovering future career paths that we may want to pursue.
I'm not sure I'm following you though, Mr. Anderson. If I could just stop you right there, because earlier you mentioned the concern that reducing the number of subjects could in fact, have an issue with the career path that the student wants to go on. But then you're also saying there may be a need to do so. So yes, it seems contradictory to me.
So what I'm saying is that we can limit the number of subjects, but all do it by a termly basis. So instead of doing a whole bunch of subjects in one term, we could limit the number of subjects they do in one term to about maybe like 8. And then we stick with that throughout the whole school year and slowly introduce them into the subjects that they may possibly like instead of cutting it out completely. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. But isn't the intention, and I beg to be corrected, isn't the intention, as you understand it, that this is only a temporary measure and that these students will be redirected to other pathways once the education system is convinced that they have the ability now to take on that additional workload?
Repeat.
Isn't the understanding that they will be redirected to other pathways once the system believes they are able to take on that workload? I don't think it's an attempt to keep them out of the standard system permanently.
Yes, but there is only a limited time in which they could potentially see those interests that they may have. So they will only see those subjects from grade first grade to grade first form to third form. So they would only get 3 years to see those subjects, and they would be developing these foundational skills and then have to catch up with what they missed. They may have potentially missed in the previous year, which would have been first form. So it would create a gap, if you understand what I'm saying.
I think I do, but I'd like to hear Stuart Jacobs on that from the Parent Teachers Association. Do you see that as a potential problem, Mr. Jacobs?
No, it's not. I really don't think so. A lot of thought have gone into it, and when we look at it as it is now, the program that has been offered under the grade 7 with several students that use the curriculum, is that it's going to be targeted support. It's providing extra help for tutoring and specific subject areas. And if you're talking about personalized learning for tailoring instruction to individual students' needs and learning styles, and that's most important, the style of the students, and I alluded to it earlier, and the President, Dr. George, which spoke about it also. The third thing is that flexible pacing, it allows students to work at their own pace, and it will give them an overall feeling of success, so that they can be be on the same path as other students in their course by at least grade 8 and grade 9. So I don't see compromising the learning process and the path that the student is going. In fact, what it will do, it will eliminate the failing and because of the overwhelming amount of subjects that the students have to do, and the parents have to be a part of it. And doing our quick checks on the ground, so that has been announced. Students, the parents are welcome it. It is embraced. We have to understand something. If there is a percentage of your cohort that are failing consistently, and you do a deep dive analysis of what is happening, and you put in place things like these to stem it, stop it from happening, prevent it from happening, then you give it the chance, and some must have been done to allow the decision to be made. And so you allow it to work over a period. And I'm very confident that this is going to bring greater results. And get the result for the end product. What is the end product? The end product is that half our students completing schools fully literate in mathematics and reading. Those are the subject areas that is going to be emphasized on. And that, remember, that the emphasis here is numeracy and literacy skills. It will lead to improvement in all other subject areas. If you concentrate on the base structure of what they will learn in grade 8, 9, and beyond, and you concentrate on this at this embryonic stage of the secondary introduction, then I don't think we have an issue here. What we have is a paradigm shift that is going to work.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. We're out of time. Thank you, as always, Stuart Jacobs, the president of the National Parent Teachers Association. We also had Dr. Mark Nicely, the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, and Brian Anderson, the president of the National Secondary Students Council. Thank you for your time.
The headlines are next, listeners and viewers.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Save fast and accepted in more locations.
That hour was brought to you by KFC. Celebrating 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6:02 p.m.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says no chikungunya infection has been detected in Jamaica at this time. He was reacting to the World Health Organization WHO's warning to countries to be on the lookout for an outbreak of the virus.
We have continued to do surveillance as part of our routine exercise across the country, and these illnesses would be requiring of notification if they have been detected. As it relates to the chickpea, we have not had any notification to that effect that there is any contamination or anyone being infected by that virus. We've had cause to do some tests, but those tests have all come up negative. Of course, we continue to monitor the situation. As it relates to dengue, dengue is endemic, and from time to time you will find some cases, but not to the point where it is at an alert phase where we have a cause for concern.
Chikungunya, commonly referred to as a CHIKV, is transmitted through the bite of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Symptoms associated with the virus include fever, rash, and severe joint pain that can last for weeks. Dr. Tufton says his ministry will continue its vector control measures.
What we have to do right now is to prepare for the season. The season is approaching, the rainy season being the trigger for more breeding sites. And up to this point, it's really about the preparation to try and minimize or prevent, which means movement of solid waste, public education at the community level and the household, and also ensuring that the hospital system can treat with any cases that may come up. But that's where we are right now.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health. Jamaicans are being urged to be on the alert for malware attacks when using automated banking machines, ABMs. The alert was raised by Managing Director of MC Systems, Dwayne Russell, at a recent cybersecurity forum. He noted that since the start of the year, there's been a 40% increase in ABM malware attacks in the Caribbean and Latin America.
It's not here as yet, but we do support ATMs outside of Jamaica. There has been, over the last 6 months, a 46% increase in malware attack on ATMs. Luckily for us, that's not the case yet, but we are aware of that. What we're doing as MC Systems with our products and services is that, one, we ensure that just like all of our engineers are certified, we're up to date in terms of some of these attacks. We're also using AI to help us to kind of understand how we use our software.
MC Systems provides the hardware and software for nearly half of Jamaica's ABMs. Mr. Russell is urging financial institutions and service providers to act quickly. He added that ABM malware attacks involve malicious software designed to compromise the machines, allowing attackers to steal cash or access sensitive information.
Pretty much what the guys are doing is, since you make your network so secure, etc., we're going to find some way to get to where you have your processing and memory, and just do an attack on that and take control, bypass all of these security configuration. Very, very effective. What that means is that, once again, we have to lock down everything to make sure that everything is being monitored.
Dwayne Russell, Managing Director of MC Systems. The increase in road fatalities has sparked fresh criticisms of the opposition PNP that the government is not doing enough to address known crash hotspot areas across the country. Spokesman on Transport Michael Phillips expressed his disappointment during a virtual meeting put on by the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, TODS, on Wednesday.
If you look at many of the hotspots are roads that are in dire need of rehabilitation, and the attention has not been put on those hotspots, as the data is there where the hotspots are. And I expected that government themselves, through the National Works Agency, would have done some work in reducing the accidents and fatalities in those hotspot areas.
223 people have died in fatal crashes since the start of the year. That's according to the latest data from the Island Traffic Authority. It says fatalities have increased by 4% when compared to last year's review period. Mr. Phillips argues that without urgent action, the increase in road fatalities will continue.
A little bit disappointed in how much it is that we do spend on public awareness. The minister made some pronouncement that percentage of the monies that they collect from ticketing would go towards a public awareness campaign. We have seen dribs of it, but I'm not satisfied that we're doing enough to sensitize the population. It is sad that we have not been able to reduce the numbers of fatalities. The high fines that was put in the Road Safety Act is just one deterrent. But if we do not enforce the law, then we will not see the reduction.
Michael Phillips, opposition spokesman on transport. Teachers Indicum, that's the term opposition spokesperson on education, Senator Damon Crawford, says is being used to describe the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill. He made the claim at a PNP policy breakfast on Thursday.
Teachers Indicom, aka the JTC, which intent was to punish teachers more so than to facilitate teachers. Well, it aimed to punish, it didn't aim to facilitate. What was in that bill to say we're promoting? As we said, we were concerned. A teacher can be brought before the JTC without having the capacity to afford legal representation. The police have been complaining about that with Indicom, that when they go in front of Indicom, they too have to find their own money. Even when proven not guilty, you get the punishment of the financial burden that you had paid to clear your own name. Principal cannot know that a teacher is under investigation until the person is removed. So the vast majority of things within the bill is to act as if the teacher is the problem because the government is seeking to absolve themselves.
Damian Crawford, the opposition spokesman on education. The JTC bill was passed in the Senate with 38 amendments in April. It received bipartisan support. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Truth is, HIV affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
KFC this summer, we are bucket together. All I vibe with your crew, yeah, we are stay true, the taste is so good. KFC, bucket on the ends with the real one. My island, we are world champion. All of we connect with the KFC. Jamrock celebrate with we. KFC, we are bucket together.
Let's bucket together with KFC. Enjoy a Family 9, Family 12, Party 15, or Party 21 bucket because sharing a bucket with friends tastes finger-licking good. KFC.
Short-sightedness, the inability to see well in the distance, is on the rise and is affecting millions of children worldwide, increasing their risk of serious eye conditions later in life. At IQ Optical, we're proud to lead the fight against short-sightedness with revolutionary Maya Smart therapeutic lenses, specifically designed for young eyes. This month only, your child can receive a free second pair of our revolutionary lenses. Help protect your child's vision today. Visit IQ Optical, where clarity never looked sharper.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swaby. We bore things off with some cricket as Jamaica lost by 76 runs to the Windward Islands at St. Mary's Park in St. Kitts on Thursday in their third-place playoff of the West Indies Rising Star Under-19 Men's Cricket Tournament. Kurt Murray 62 and captain Stefan Pascal 60 combined to help the Windwards to 226 all-out in 46 overs. Irsin Hu Fontaine, 45, also scored well against Vittel Lodge, 3 for 39, and 2 wickets each for Revon Morgan and Tamari Redwood. The Jamaicans' reply lasted only 26 overs and 5 balls as they were dismissed with 150. Only captain Brian Barnes, 46, and Tariq Bryan, 29, made any scores of worth against Theo Edward and Cody Fontenelle, 3 wickets each. Barbados won the title after beating the previously unbeaten USA 1 by 6 wickets at Canary. The Americans made 212 all out in 48.2 overs, and Barbados replied with 215 for 4 in 38.2 overs. Captain of the West Indies, Shai Hope, says they need to build on the positives from the first 2 T20 internationals against Australia for the third match in St. Kitts on July 25. Australia lead the series 2-0 following an 8-wicket win in the second match at Sabina Park on Tuesday. In the first match, Hope and Ruston Chase made a half-century each and shared in a 91-run second-wicket partnership. Meanwhile, the bowlers had the Tories struggling on 78 for 4 after 9 overs before Cameron Green and Mitch Owen shared in an 80-run fifth-wicket partnership to strengthen the innings. In the second match, Brandon King made a half-century while Andre Russell made 36. Hope says the Caribbean side need to build on their strong starts.
From a bowling standpoint, we've been getting wickets with a new ball, something that we keep speaking about all the time. We want to make sure we put some pressure on the opposition whenever we start in the bowling department. And Kingy back in the runs again. He's been playing really well throughout the series, tests and now the T20s. So we still got some confidence, we could take into the next couple of games. And we need to feed off of those good performances that we would have had and look to turn things around in St. Kitts.
Say hope. Now, the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee says it's establishing a special committee of diverse stakeholders, including our cricket legends, the private sector and academia, to review the multiple high-level reports on West Indies cricket and synthesize their various recommendations that they contain. The committee is to, in addition to review the report, propose an action plan. Cricket West Indies and the National Cricket Associations will be invited to be a part of the consultation and review process. This arising out of a meeting of the Bureau of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, comprising incumbent chair Dr. the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, outgoing chair Honourable Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, and incumbent chair Dr. the Honourable Terence Dew, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, convened virtually on July 21. The meeting was convened to deliberate on several issues, including West Indies cricket. The PMSC is deeply concerned about all aspects of the current state of the game in the region, particularly in its long form. The concerns extend from youth development and talent retention to governance arrangements and long-term strategy. The committee believes that the team's recent performance is a moment of reckoning for the cherished Caribbean institution. They're urging Cricket West Indies to undertake a thorough and transparent review of its governance, leadership, management, economic models, and development frameworks underpinning the sport. Now, former West Indies captain Sir Clive Lloyd was on Wednesday honoured at Old Trafford in Manchester, England, with a stand named after him. In a statement, Cricket West Indies expressed immense pride and congratulations to Sir Lloyd following the historic naming of a stand in his honour by Lancashire County Cricket Club. The renaming ceremony held ahead of the fourth test between England and India also honoured former Lancashire and Indian wicketkeeper Farooq Engineer, Sir Lloyd's teammate during the 1970s, in recognition of both players' exceptional service to the club and international cricket. The stand next to the club's media centre, known as the B Stand, will now bear Lloyd's name on the upper tier and Engineers on the lower tier. Sir Lloyd's illustrious career included leading the West Indies to consecutive World Cup victories in 1975 and 1979, during an international career which spanned 110 test matches and 87 one-day internationals. His 20-year association with Lancashire, beginning in 1968, saw him become a central figure of the club's golden era. Sir Clive scored 30 first-class centuries for Lancashire and amassed 12,764 runs in 219 matches across 18 seasons. This helped the club secure multiple trophies, including 3 successive Gillette Cup victories from 1970 to 1972. Now to netballers. President of Netball Jamaica, Karen Barr, revealed that the association is in need of a financial boost to assist the country's under-21 team to the upcoming Netball Youth World Cup set for Gibraltar from September 19 to 28. Barr explained that the government and Jamaica Public Service has already given assistance, but there's still a gap to be filled to the tune of over $10 million.
11 to 12 million is what the shortfall is, because Gibraltar is far away and quite expensive. So yeah, that's where we are in terms of the shortfall. Yeah.
This year's staging of the Youth World Cup is the first since the 2017 edition. Jamaica are 2-time medalists at the tournament, having won bronze in 2013 and silver in 2000. According to the president, while they face financial challenges, the preparation of the team hasn't been affected.
So the preparation is not being impacted. They've been in camp since the beginning of June, and they'll break over the holidays here and then come back. So the preparation, that's where we've been focused, while in the background we're doing the fundraising to complete the preparations for their departure. So in terms of their actual preparation and working with the coach and being able to have the camp and those things, that's not being impacted.
Karen Barr. Now to footballers, champions Arnett Gardens will seek to make history by becoming the first team to win back-to-back titles in the 2025 CFU Club Shield. The tournament is set for Trinidad and Tobago from July 26 to August 3. Arnett Gardens have been drawn into Group D of the tournament alongside Club Franciscain of Martinique, Scholars International from the Cayman Islands, the Blanc of Dominica, Docks United of Anguilla, and AC Port of Spain from Trinidad and Tobago. The Junglers will open their campaign against the Blanco at the Otter Bowling Stadium on July 27. Coach of Arnett, Philip Williams, says it will be a historic and inspirational milestone if his team could retain the title.
They got a taste of it last year, and definitely they are very enthused to go and defend the title that they won last year. We are a bit undermanned, as you know, that some of the players have not returned and has also left the club. But we have some youngsters here who are rearing to make their mark. They were French players last year, and I think they realize that this is an opportunity for them to state their claim in terms of a starting position and writing their own history in the Arnett Football in Hall of Fame.
Philip Williams. 8 schools will participate in the second staging of the Yardi Sports Challenge Cup, which was launched at the summit on Wednesday. The 4-day tournament will be held at the UWI Mona Bowl from August 7 to August 10. 4 of the schools which participated in the inaugural tournament, Kingston College, St. Catherine High, Calabar, and the Dintil Technical, along with Charlie Smith, Monroe College, Manchester High, and York Castle, will compete. The 8 teams have been divided into 2 zones. In Zone A are Kingston College, Manchester High, Charlie Smith, and York Castle. Zone B will feature Calabar, St. Catherine, Dintil Technical, and Monroe College. The teams will play each other once in a round-robin format over the first 2 days of the tournament. The matches will last for 60 minutes each with a 10-minute halftime break. At the end of the first round, the teams will be ranked from 1 to 8 based on points, goal difference, and head-to-head where necessary, and the contest of a quarter-final round on Saturday. The teams will face off based on rankings, with the number 1 seed facing the number 8 seed, the number 2 seed facing the number 7, 3rd versus 6th, and 4th versus 5th. The alumni teams of the participating schools are also invited to participate in the tournament, and they will join the party at the quarterfinal round on the Saturday, where they will be ranked similarly to their under-19 teams. The teams that win on Saturday will advance to the semifinals on Sunday, where they will vie for a spot in the respective finals, which will also be contested on Sunday. Coach of Kingston College, Vassal Reynolds, says tournaments like these are good preparation ahead of the upcoming Issa Manning Cup season.
There are different benefits based on your plan support, really. When you can have back-to-back games, depending on the strength of your team, depending on the depth of your team, you can use it to test the depth of your team to see how quickly they recover from playing games over a short period of time, depending on when you can go to these tournaments and get in 3-4 games. Once the duration is applicable to your plan, I think it's good from an economic standpoint.
This will be St. Catherine's second year competing in the tournament, and their coach, Anthony Patrick, says it's a good way to gauge their readiness heading into the Manning Cup.
When you look at the teams that are going to take part, it's going to be a challenging one now, but it's a great boosting one for the youngsters, to showcase their talent and to show that they can play, especially when you look at your program. See 14 and 15 million coming from, not to play in courts, but to play in Manning Cup football.
Anthony Patrick. Along with the championship trophies, there will be individual awards for the tournament MVP, best defender, best midfielder, best goalkeeper, and the leading goal scorer. Now to track and field, sports analyst Leighton Levy believes the men's 4x100 meters relay world record could come under threat if Jamaica is able to field its strongest team at the World Championships in Tokyo in September. The men's sprint relay world record is 36.84 seconds, set by Jamaica at the 2012 London Olympics. The team consisted of Nesta Carter, Michael Frater, Johan Blake, and Usain Bolt. Speaking on his Instagram social media platform, Levy says a new Jamaican quartet could own that 13-year-old record at the end of the championships.
Brandeville running 9.82 in Austria. And it brings a very exciting dynamic and an exciting possibility. Back in 2012, 4 men who set the world record of 36.84 in London, the Olympic Games in London. Nestor Carter 9.95, Michael Frater 9.94, Johan Blake 9.69, Usain Bolt 9.63, combined 37.21. Now, as of today, 9.82 from Brandeville, 9.83 from Oblique Seville, 9.88 from Akeem Blake, and 9.75 from Kishane Thompson. Add up to 37.28. That's how close these guys are to the world record. So, in 8 weeks, with the guys possibly faster, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Get the stick around, world record could be under threat. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm very excited by that. Are you?
Leighton Levy, Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the World Championships. Finally, in tennis, Britain's Emma Raducanu is through to the quarterfinals of the Washington Open after beating 4-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka in straight sets. After previously upsetting Ukrainian 7th seed Marta Kostyuk in round 1, the 22-year-old produced a dominant performance to overcome former world number 1 Osaka 6-4, 6-2. The 2021 U.S. Open Women's Singles Champion will face wildcard Maria Sakkari in the last 8 after the Greek player knocked out American 2nd seed Emma Navarro. I'm Alex Raby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:25.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Chakama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Pan select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
The 4th Jamaica Summit of Excellence in Leadership and Business is happening July 23rd to 25th at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean in Kingston. Billionaire investor Michael Lee Chin is opening it with a powerful keynote. Join 20-plus world-class speakers covering everything from business and investment to AI, mental health, women empowerment, and more. Delegates are flying in from around the world. Will you be in the room? Tickets are going fast. Grab yours now at eventbrite.ca. This isn't just a conference, it's a movement. Don't miss it. Visit JamaicaSummitOfExcellence.com.
Calling all businesses. Nationwide 90 FM's Back to School Fair is heading to Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay on Saturday, August 9. And your brand should be there. With families from St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Trelawney, and St. Elizabeth expected to attend, it's the perfect chance to connect directly with back-to-school shoppers. Contact us at sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com or call 876-630-1210 to book your vendor space today.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. And we're continuing with the proposed measure. Students entering grade 7 who are identified to be struggling will be allowed to do 6 subjects as opposed to 10 or more. The change was announced during the Education Transformation Oversight Committee ETOC quarterly media briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister on Wednesday. Now, Chief Education Officer Terry-Ann Thomas-Gale says the ministry will use its curriculum instruction and assessment roadmap to determine which students need the reduced subject load. We've been getting reactions in regards to this new development. Terry-Ann Thomas-Gale says the roadmap outlines the ministry's pathway policy, which speaks to customizing the curriculum based on where the students are.
When our students who are on Pathway 3, they improve, they are given additional work so as to move them from Pathway 3 onto Pathway 2 or 1. And so what we're doing this year, it's not really new. It is really management of the policy, customizing the policy, packaging it in workable ways for our school leaders and for the education system.
That's Terry-Ann Thomas-Gale, Chief Education Officer. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, what's your reaction to the plan for struggling grade 7 students to do only 6 subjects? That's the Public Opinion, and I'm turning my attention quickly to our Facebook platform, where Carlington Bartley is saying this is a win-win initiative. It gives students more time to focus on their strengths and save their parents money. Kaylee Hyman is saying start them with the basics first. Math, English, reading comprehension, penmanship, and social studies. I must point out that with the proposed measure, there will be a renewed focus. Yes, a renewed focus on numeracy and literacy. I think that was what was said. Natalie Winter is saying a start in the right direction, but it should not be end all to the problem. Support services are needed from home, school, and church to make the process easier on the kids. Shines for Life Law is saying it's a good idea in favor of the students, and even the repeat is a good idea. Sonia Solomon is saying very good idea. The failure rate will be much less, especially for non-traditional high schools as they get the bulk of these students. Prince Wellington is saying that it's not a bad plan. However, they're overlooking some of the grade 11 students at the Spanish Town High School who have to be given grade 3 level exams to get a passing grade. At least we're seeing some effort now, unlike when Granny Pearl Nick. Okay. Wow, Prince Wellington. You went down. Yeah, okay. Audrey Allen is saying this should have been happening long time. Consideration should not be given to only students who are struggling through. Some of these children are doing way too much. Audley Phillip, we are burdening children with need to do too many subjects. It's not every child that can handle that burden. We are literally driving children crazy. Maury McCarthy is saying great idea, good idea coming from Skimar Brady. Shirley is saying also it's a great idea. So too Anthony Shakes. Let's see if I can get to our Instagram, where one Empress is saying details needed. However, the end of grade 8 might better separate between the academic heads and the skills or trade potential. Setting these limits may be a setup for failure. If you're just joining us, we're inside the Court of Public Opinion. What's your reaction to the plan for struggling grade 7 students to do only 6 subjects? Legal is saying, I think 8 would be better. Mathematics, English, 1 foreign language, and any other 5. 6 will limit them too much. Okay. In response to that, Lisa is saying, typically middle school does 6 PE and sometimes another elective. Instead of limiting them, I think they should find out the root cause and come up with amicable solution without pressuring them. I don't think it's fair to limit our children. Some of the most successful people who I encounter with wasn't doing well in school initially. All right. Jay Banks is saying, wow, these careless parents need to be more involved in their children's education. We are going to continue water down things until our education system becomes trash. Yeah. To that, Star Phoenix is saying, parents are one, but have you seen the current state of the education system? No teachers for varying subjects for almost an entire school year, and some of the teachers who are actually present either unsure of what they're doing or just don't care. Yeah. Paul Bestdeal is saying, is there a link to the details of this plan? I would like to, for sure, you can go back to watch the briefing, the eTalk media briefing. I believe it would have been streamed live, or feel free to browse our stories. I mean, the media brought stories extensively. All right, let me see on our YouTube platform. To the question, what's your reaction to the plan for struggling grade 7 students to do only 6 subjects? Let's see. Winston Gooden is saying, I like the term workable way. We need to work with this group, but okay, no, I think that's unrelated. Mercedes Morgan is saying, I am in total agreement. It will be better for the kids. Christopher Bowen is also agreeing. Totally agree, only that I hate the name Partway when I remember the name Partway associated with the Mobile pastor. Okay. Let me see. David Nabar, I totally agree with you. More time needed. Let me see. Very good idea, but remember, kids are product of the home, says David. Yeah. All right, thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Scotiabank has announced the appointment of Yannick Forbes Patrick as head of the Caribbean Corporate Affairs effective July 1, 2025. In this role, Yannick will lead corporate affairs across Scotiabank's Caribbean markets, including the Bahamas, Barbados, Cayman, the Dominican Republic, Guyana, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Turks and Caicos. The bank says her focus will be on reinforcing its values and culture while promoting its brand across all business lines. She will also spearhead the development of innovative internal and external communications and public affairs strategies. The bank says Yannick brings a wealth of experience to the expanded mandate, having held leadership roles in marketing and corporate communications. The European Union has said it believes a deal on trade tariffs with the U.S. is within reach ahead of an August 1 deadline, when President Donald Trump has threatened to impose a sweeping 30% levy on EU imports. Hopes were raised after EU diplomats suggested the U.S. had proposed a broad 15% tariff on most European imports. A European Commission spokesman refused to speculate on the latest talks on Thursday, but said EU negotiators were working to deliver a deal for Europe's consumers and companies. The White House said earlier that any talk about deals should be seen as speculation unless it was confirmed by the president. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 32 cents to buy $1 US, 217 Jamaican dollars and 32 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 118 Jamaican dollars and 30 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Still sweating with that old fan? It's time to upgrade! Meet Glacier, the AC unit that thinks for you. Energy efficient to slash your power bill. Wi-Fi enabled so you can control it from your phone. And self-cleaning because you've got better things to do. Powerful, smart, hassle-free. Call now at 876-923-6521-3. Geddes Refrigeration Limited, delivering the perfect cooling solution tailored to your needs.
Why rush around town for back-to-school shopping? Nationwide 90 FM is making it easy at our back-to-school fair. Come get your child measured for uniforms, check their shoe size, and purchase essentials right there on the spot. St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth. We've got everything in one place just for you. That's Saturday, August 9, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay. The Nationwide 90 FM Back-to-School Fair.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Looking for great food, good vibes, and family-friendly fun? Visit Timber Lounge, your go-to bar and grill in Portmore. Open daily from 11 a.m., serving mouth-watering dishes like jerk chicken pasta, beef burgers, and our signature barbecue ribs. Enjoy delivery, catering, and live sports in a relaxed setting. Don't miss our 6th anniversary celebration this July. Call 876-668-3252 or email timberloungeportmore@gmail.com. Come have a drink, grab a bite, and enjoy the ambiance.
You have to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Teach your kids smart money habits starting now. Open a student saving account on the spot. Enjoy financial literacy games and get budgeting tips just in time for the new school year. It's all at the Nationwide 90 FM Back to School Fair, where families get real value. Saturday, August 9, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay. It's the Nationwide 90 FM Back to School Fair.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome back. It is 6:40 and it is time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Teachers Indicum. That's the term opposition spokesperson on education, Senator Damian Crawford, says is being used to describe the Jamaica Teaching Council, the JTC bill. He made the claim at a PNP policy breakfast on Thursday. According to Senator Damian Crawford, the Jamaica Teaching Council, JTC bill, is being termed the teachers' indicum because it's a widely held belief that the measures outlined in the proposed legislation are aimed at punishing teachers.
When pressed to explain the terminology, Senator Crawford told members of the press in attendance at his policy breakfast that the teachers' criticism of the bill is similar to the police concerns about the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM. The commission investigates the conduct of the security forces and other agents of the state. Senator Crawford notes that the government is using the JTC bill to deflect from its responsibility for poor performance being detected in schools. The JTC bill was passed in the Senate with 38 amendments in April. It received bipartisan support.
But according to Senator Crawford, the opposition had no power to stop the passage of the bill. Meanwhile, he is rubbishing the Education Ministry's plan to reduce the subject load for struggling students entering grade 7 and the extra literacy and numeracy questions for the primary exit profile test for grade 6. And he says these measures are inadequate. Well, Senator Crawford now joins us. Good evening, Senator Crawford.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
Well, wonderful. Thank you as always for joining us. Well, there are two issues, but let me start with the JTC bill. Help me to understand, what provisions in the bill do you see as punishing educators?
Well, first of all, I want to have an understanding of where would you get the notion that it received bipartisan support, because we were strident in our presentations that we were in disagreement to multiple components of the bill. So I think that needs to be corrected.
Did you vote nay to the proposal?
Again, we didn't vote yea. So if a non-vote of nay and a non-vote of yea, why would you choose yea?
But I recall during that sitting there was no voice of discontent in terms of the actual voting procedures. Did you, when they called the rule, do the ayes have it? There was ayes and there was no attempt to call for a divide?
No, sir. The norm is not to call for a divide on every bill. Parliament would never make sense. The government is given the duty to govern, for which for most of our bills, they have what you call a simple majority rule. That means that the government, in saying yea, receives a simple majority.
But typically, Senator Crawford, but typically...
Let me just finish.
Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So therefore, the opposition, because of its numbers, is incapable to win a nay vote. You therefore simply don't answer. If there is a particular matter that you want to record further than just the debate, an opinion, you call for a divide. So it is actually being disingenuous to suggest.
But you didn't feel that this matter rose to the level of a divide, though. You didn't feel that the matter was important enough to rise to the level of a divide.
So therefore, if your statement is we didn't think it rose to the level of a divide, then your statement about bipartisan support still remain untrue and unfactual.
Well, we'll remove that, but the point still remains, Senator Crawford. Typically, when an opposition, understanding that they will lose the vote, they want to make their statement very clear. Typically, they call for a divide under the Westminster system. That's what.
No, you're actually incorrect, because typically would mean on the vast majority of times.
Yes, and that is correct. Yes,
and most times,
and we can go back and forth on it, Senator Crawford.
No, we don't have to go back and forth. We can count how many times the opposition, having expressed this disagreement, have asked for a divide. It's very seldom that the opposition has asked for a divide. And
well, maybe the PNP in opposition, but generally in the Westminster system, that's what it is.
You can count throughout the world and give me that statement. But
talk to me though. The provisions in the bill, Senator Crawford.
For the benefit of the listeners, most times a divide is asked for by an individual who wants to record his name. As you know, when a divide is asked for, each individual is polled. And when an individual wants to record his or her name, they ask for a divide. But Parliament is based on, for the majority of bills, a simple majority. And my 3-hour presentation on that Parliament highlighted all the issues that we had.
Fair enough, Mr. Crawford, but even in that matter, I still believe, though, if you have voiced such a concern about the bill, and I recognize what you're suggesting, that yes, it's a simple majority, the government can pass it without the say-so of the opposition. But considering the posture following that vote, why did you not have, as you stand on record and principle to suggest, you don't support this bill? So I am saying nay when it's a call for a vote.
Maybe you didn't watch the Parliament.
I did.
Okay, so having watched the Parliament...
And I was very attentive to your presentation, you being the only member of the opposition who actually who put forward a debate during that JTC bill.
I was the only member that presented.
Yes.
I needed to say nothing further because I represented the opposition in totality. Therefore, having presented, you would record that all the things that we said after were the exact things we said before. So there was no difference in posture before and after. What we recognized smartly as an opposition was that the government is fueled by public opinion, and taking it to the public would likely to deter the government from continuation, which it did. So I just want clarity that there was no bipartisan agreement, because bipartisan agreement would suggest both said yay, and we did not say yay.
Okay, understood.
And that we'll definitely agree with, but I will still stand on the point that typically when an opposition want to show that they disagree, and they disagree strongly to a bill, they call for a divide. That's the practice under the Westminster system. So you have made your point. I'm making that one. But let's move on. The provisions in the bill. Talk to me. Why do you think that it's punishing educators?
We have been, through this 100 times about the basis upon which we think it is creating risk and bureaucratic to teachers, the registration process being highly bureaucratic, the ease upon which they can lose their license, the cost that is suggested, the maximums for breaches breaches of greater risk to the public. The ease upon which persons can make a report, the ease upon which a investigation happens, the non-provision of a fund for teachers to call upon for legal representation, a double jeopardy notion that is possible. All of these are made clear as to reasons why we are concerned about the bill, and the fact that there's nothing within the bill that speaks to the cost that teachers might have to bear for registration, the cost that teachers might have to bear for continuous professional development, and also the risk of those things if cost is a hindrance that you still lose your license. So we felt that, as we have highlighted on multiple occasions, the bill was onerous towards teachers and sought really to police teachers more than to facilitate teachers improve performance.
But do you believe that there is no need to, at least to some level, hold teachers to a level of accountability as part of the education process?
Of course, I do believe that. That is why in mathematics, when you have a subject called vectors, you have distance and direction. So the direction of accountability has always been acceptable to every party and every individual, including teachers. It is the distance. So we also believe there's a space for reward, a reward of persons who are operating in the best ways. We also believe that there's a space for consideration of the realities that face the different teachers for which this bill didn't facilitate. So while it is that we are in appreciation of the direction of having a general system of holding persons accountable, first of all, that accountability isn't reserved to a teachers' council. Teachers have been held accountable for years by principals, years by vice principals, for years by head of departments and head of units and grade coordinators. But yes, if there is a bill, the bill should not be as onerous as it was. So it really was the levels that it reached to, and the directions, the approach of a stick more than a carrot that we had great concerns about.
So go ahead, Sanjay.
The matter of the licensing of teachers, Senator Crawford, is it that the opposition has no issue with teachers being licensed, but the issue is with the payment that they have to make?
No, as I said, we have made multiple statements about all the things that we have an issue with. So
No, that particular one, I was trying to get the clarity.
No. So, right. So I'm saying if I indicated that I have 10 issues, you can't say you can't highlight one and ask if that is the issue. That is one of the issues.
All right. Let me reframe the question. As it relates to that particular issue regarding the licensing of teachers, is it that the opposition has a problem with the teachers having to pay to be licensed, or just generally you don't believe that teachers should go through the process of being licensed?
Oh, all right. So if there's to be licensing of teachers, the fact that there may be a financial negative, meaning that a person might not be able to afford it, that is a concern.
Would that be acceptable if it was free?
No, hold on. If we're interviewing me, you have to give me a chance.
No, fair. But I'm just adding to that as an addendum. Would it be fine if it was free? The registration itself was free?
That aspect would not be a concern if it was free, because if it was free, there's no financial hindrance. And because you can't practice without it, we believe that a financial hindrance based on a circumstance of multiple individuals would have been of concern, especially due to the fact that there was no mention of what is the level of hindrance. However, we also felt that you shouldn't have to renew every 5 years with a new police record. So that was also a concern about licensing. So the licensing concern was not reserved only to the cost. There was other concerns within licensing. And there are other examples throughout the world. For example, in the UK, you register one time and you don't renew. ours was asking you to renew every 5 years, and not only to renew every 5 years, but to go through the process of getting a police record, which we would understand that the government is incapable to provide for 30,000 people effectively. So the concerns were greater than just that there was a cost.
Fair enough. But Senator Crawford, before I want to play something back for you, but before I get to that, on that second point that you raised in terms of renewal, is it that the simple matter of renewal is a concern, or is it the requirement of a police record, so to speak? Because would you feel it not reasonable, and I ask reasonable, that considering the importance of a teacher and the sensitivities in terms of taking care of the nation's youth, that the requirement for a background check at a regular interval, half a decade, is reasonable enough?
No, I would say no, it's not reasonable.
Why is that?
Sorry?
No, I asked, why is that?
Why is it not reasonable?
Yes.
Because there is no benefit to the hindrance. Now, if it is that the bill suggests that a person would have to be reported, have they done any criminal activities, and the only way to get a police record is having not only been accused but also to have been convicted of a criminal activity, then to go forward every 5 years to get a police record is actually something that can be solved with simply connections with the police force by putting the TRN to the police force to send a report upon the persons automatically. So there are easier ways to satisfy that malady than to ask for a repeat. As I said, there are countries that have had a licensing system for multiple years.
Okay, so it's not the check that you have a problem with. It's the process of going about getting the background check. It's not the check itself.
I don't have a problem with background checks. Nobody can have a problem with background checks with children. I'm saying that if you have a system that indicates, first of all, your first application have to have the background check. There's no basis upon which your future applications need to have a similar background check. And if you don't need a similar background check, then the need for a continuous recertification or re-verification is removed, because that is a simple benefit that most believe comes from having a renewal. And I think that is why...
But doesn't other professional groups require that process of renewal ever so often in terms of certification? Just as a professional standard, doctors go through it. I believe lawyers also go through it as well.
And before you answer, Senator Crawford, and there are several other countries that require their teachers to renew every 5 years, some 3 years. You have New Zealand, which is every 3 years. South Africa, 3 years. United States, renewal every 5 years. Singapore, every 5 years. It's not unusual for it to happen.
States, but as I've said, I've indicated there are other countries that you don't need renewal. But you spoke to the fact about the doctors and the lawyers. There are two major differences that one must consider for those three types of professions. Doctors and lawyers, on multiple occasions, in fact, for a material number, operate under their own supervision. Teachers don't operate under their own supervision. Teachers answer to a board. Teachers answer to principals. Teachers answer to head of units, head of departments, and also grade coordinators. So therefore, that oversight is missing for doctors and lawyers. Secondly, the impact of the doctors and the lawyers is a risk to life and a risk to freedom. That's a greater risk than any other thing that exists. Therefore, the management of a... Can I just finish?
No, fair enough. Sorry, go ahead.
The management of a risk to freedom, liberty, and the management of a risk to life must be considered to be of a greater totem pole than the management of the education system, in particular because they operate under instructions directly from the Ministry of Education and under supervision from the school management system.
But would you not consider, in terms of the future of the nation, as in the nation's youth and children, we should take the matter as seriously as we do in terms of professional conduct, as we do for lawyers and doctors?
No, because you're asking a question that I wasn't speaking to.
I'm putting it to you, though, based on what you've suggested. Would you not suggest that the nation's youth or children, the future of the nation, and or concerns raised about the standards of education as they stand now, would you not agree that we should take the matter as serious in terms of professional conduct as we would doctors and lawyers?
The risks are different, so no, it cannot be taken similarly because the risks are different. The risk to life is greater than the risk to a teacher's incompetence. The risk to freedom is greater. Also, the lack of management, the self-management that exists between those professions don't exist with teachers. And so I would disagree with you that the risk is equal. And by extension, because I don't agree that the risk is equal, I don't believe they should be treated in the same way.
Okay. But before we continue, Senator Crawford, I wanted to play this because this was from the former Education Minister, Ronald Thwaites, regarding the same JTC bill not too long ago. I wanted you to respond to what the former minister was suggesting.
My view is we're spending enough on education. I'm following Professor Patterson in that regard, but we now have to look very, very clinically at what we're spending it on, and we have to have accountability. That is why I support the Jamaica Teaching Council bill. I take a position different from the party that I'm a member of in that regard. Because right now there's very little accountability in education. Unfortunately, that is so. It's a difficult thing. I think teachers need to be paid better, but I think they need to be held accountable more.
What do you make of that assessment by the former minister?
I make nothing of it. It's an opinion shared by an individual who have a right to an opinion. Therefore, Ronnie Thwaites have a right to his opinion, as do I. And I have stated my opinion, and the party has stated their opinion. One of the great things about the democratic process of the People's National Party is that we allow for difference in opinion. And if he's willing, he can always call, and he did call. We had a conversation. And we have institutions such as the NEC and the executive that we can have debates. So Ronnie, having had the experience, felt that we should move forward. But he then later wrote an article stating that he did think that they should come back to the joint table and that the JTA in particular had reasonable concerns. So it's just his opinion, and I appreciate the fact that he has a right to that opinion. What that doesn't change is the fact that it is undefined as what competence to teach is. What that doesn't change is that the teacher can face up to $1 million in fines. What that doesn't change is that a teacher can be carried before the committee for things that they don't know how to define those things, including competence to teach and including the performance based that can be based on the child's hungriness or the child's social condition. So I appreciate his right to an opinion. I accept that opinion, but I've also recognized that the government has basically withdraw the bill and have it carried forward. So maybe the government also agrees with the opposition.
And that's what I would like to ask you there. As it stands, though, without further consultations, as the representative of the People's National Party in education, is it that the bill in itself is reprehensible to the party, or is it just a matter that it can be improved before we forward?
The approach is reprehensible. The concept, you keep saying the bill and mentioning the concept. The concept of a Jamaica Teachers Council is fine and appreciated and accepted. The bill as is the approach, and that approach that seeks to act as if a teacher is the major reason for failing within the education system. One that seems to give the notion that if you should move all the teachers from Campion, that is having a 90-something% chance of 5 subjects, replace them with all the teachers from Denham Town, and vice versa, carry the teachers from Campion to Denham Town, that immediately Denham Town fortunes would dramatically increase and Campion's fortunes will dramatically fall. And that is not so. The circumstances of the Campion student is much different than the circumstances of the Denham Town student. And the teacher, therefore, must be wary of a system that seeks to punish her for circumstances that she cannot mitigate against, including things like the shortage of furniture in school, including things as well as the unavailability of rental books, including things as well as the announcement of no fees, and therefore the unwillingness for those schools to have fees, and the willingness to contribute to fees in these other schools. Up to 84% of the students at Campion are willing to pay fees. 13% at Haile Selassie were willing to pay fees, and the fees was almost 15% of the Campion fees. So the reality is that the school subvention to high schools have remained at $17,000 for the longest time, and the proposal for contribution to education is $8,000 per person, which is equivalent on purchasing power parity to $3,500 US in Jamaica, and we're putting less than $2,000 US. So those realities have impacted the teachers' ability to perform, and I think that those need to be fixed before we look at performance.
It doesn't take away from the point, though, Senator Crawford, that yes, while those issues may exist within the system, there's also problems as it relates to professional misconduct, and there has to be a governing body that will ensure that there is, and they maintain professionalism and accountability within the teaching profession. Nothing is wrong with that.
But And we have all acknowledged that. What we have said is the method upon which you are seeking to do so, first of all, exaggerates the problem, because I don't know if you have a list of multiple teachers who have been in breach and have gotten away with that breach without intervention.
It doesn't take away from the fact that there needs to be some, the system needs to be organized.
Yes, but the gravity of the intervention also must mimic the gravity of the problem. So you can't seek to amputate every leg for a scrape. You must look at the fact that the leg must be amputated. The hammer that they've taken to this ants is too big of a hammer, because we don't have that major issue that you're speaking to. We have a major issue with a system, an education system, that has been ignored by the government. For the purpose of your listeners, I would like to remind you that in 2015, literacy was 84%. In 2024, literacy was 62%. It has fallen dramatically in the 10 years of the JLP government. I would also like to remind you that in 20...
Yeah, but botching those things together, Senator Crawford, it still doesn't take away from the fact that there needs to be, let me just respond, there needs to be one body that can bring some order to the system. Because what exists now, is it that the opposition is proposing to leave it to the school boards?
Let me just make the point. Now, equally, the 5 subjects, including math and English, was 28%. It has reduced to 18% over the last 10 years. So that shows that, and these teachers were in the main the same. So that shows that the government management have possibly a greater impact on education performance than teachers' influence. That must be considered with greater conversation. So no, we don't expect to leave it only to the boards, because even the JTC bill appreciates that there's a role for the boards, and not all things will be handled by the JTC. We believe that there is a place for a Jamaica Teachers Council. What we're saying is the method that they took it as was one who saw the teachers as the enemy, and we believe that the teachers are the friends. And therefore, it is to facilitate their performances, to facilitate their intervention, more so than to punish them, and to punish them wildly when there might be no reason for punishment and unreasonable basis of punishment.
But isn't that a bit hyperbolic, Senator Crawford, in two ways? Firstly, in what aspect does the JTC bill hold the members of the teachers to account for the outcomes in education in terms of how much someone scores in math and how much someone scores in English? I don't believe there's any mention of that in the JTC bill, beyond suggesting probably the call for a regular amount of certification and professional upstanding. But beyond that, also, why would you believe that the JTC bill, if the teachers, as you say, are, for the most part, in adherence with what the legislation will be when it comes to fruition, why would they be concerned that it would punish them if they would not run afoul of those punishments anyway?
Okay, well, first of all, for example, competence to teach having been undefined can reasonably be assumed to include performance of the pupil, and by extension...
So that's a presumption, though, but you're making that as a presumption.
And that presumption must be clarified.
Okay.
There's no way I'm going to sign on to a law when that possibility isn't corrected. That would be foolish.
But wouldn't it be this competence to teach? No, but I please bear with me, Senator Crawford. We can go through these as points. You have time on your side here today, so let's go through these points one by one. When we talk about competence to teach, wouldn't that be more reasonable, as in the most charitable assumption would be they're speaking to your certification level in terms of whether you have a teaching diploma, master's in teaching, so on and so forth?
No, because that would be at the licensing stage, and not at the analysis stage. If it is that it was on your degrees, etc., then at the licensing stage, you'd be licensed appropriately based on your degrees. The competence to teach is on the analysis stage, and because it's at the analysis stage, then it could not be based on your degrees.
Interesting. I don't know if I agree with that assessment, Senator Crawford, but as you said, you're open to your opinion. Continue.
Yes. Okay. I don't remember what exactly we were discussing.
In terms of if the teachers you don't realistically expect the majority of teachers, of even a significant amount of teachers, to run afoul of the arrangements of the JTC bill as they stand in terms of misconduct. Why then fear it?
Well, first of all, the levels of misconduct have not even been defined. But there's also reason for us to say that there should be what we call commensurate punishment. There cannot be that teaching without a license have a greater penalty than driving without a license, nor dangerous driving. Can be reasonable that that penalty is greater. And you also asked earlier about, what about the doctors and what about the lawyers? Those persons those boards are made up disproportionately by those persons, practitioners within the space.
Isn't it so with the JTC bill as it stands?
No, actually to the vast opposite. The JTC bill actually have 33% of the representation being teachers. It has spaces for church, it has spaces for parents, it has spaces for government, and even when
But would that 33% still be the plurality?
No, the majority would have been...
No, I said not the majority, I said the plurality.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm saying that the doctors and the lawyers aren't based on plurality, they're based
Doesn't
on
make it right though, Senator Crawford, because I have a problem with that also.
Sorry?
It doesn't make it right. So you me to, for example, the doctors and the lawyers, that whatever their governing body is made up mostly of those within the profession. I have a problem with that too. So it doesn't make it me to that doesn't make it right.
You can't. But you are the one that introduced the concept of similar to doctors and lawyers. And
a governing body.
Yes, and that governing body also have a makeup. And that makeup is disproportionately doctors and lawyers.
And I'm saying to you, because of that, I also agree that it should not be the case. It should not be disproportionately as it now stands.
And we disagree. So we just agree to disagree there. And the teachers
But I'd like to get in on that as well, Senator Crawford, because you yourself have suggested that you believe that the teachers, in terms of their professional standing, should not be put on the same level as doctors and lawyers. And we can agree that the education system is quite its own unique creature. Should there not be space on that board for teachers, the other stakeholders such as the owners of schools, etc.? Shouldn't they have a say in that? And wouldn't you therefore say some arrangement of that where the teachers are still the plurality, meaning they still have the numbers comparative to the other groups? Is that not appropriate?
No, I don't think that's appropriate. I actually believe that the teachers should be the majority on the committee. I believe that, as I said before, that those other institutions have higher risk, and therefore with higher risk should have greater levels of management. And the teachers having lower risk have been given a higher level of management, oftentimes with persons that don't even understand the teaching. Simple fact that you're a parent don't mean you understand the circumstances faced by the teacher. So no, I do not agree with that. So I believe that there's grave differences between the two, and that the teacher should not have a more onerous basis, because, as I said, I believe that the risk is less on the teacher's side.
Well, thank you for that, Senator Crawford. That has been, I would agree, that was quite an insightful discussion. I think I have a greater understanding of where you're coming from in terms of the JTC bill. I don't know if I agree with you on all points, but I think I do at the very least have a better understanding where you're coming from. Thank you so much. That is Senator Damien Crawford.
Like Ronnie, you have a right to your opinion as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your time. And Senator Crawford, I will say this. I appreciate you coming on Nationwide News, answering tough questions and sticking to your guns in terms of what you believe. Just that amount, I appreciate what you've done here today.
I've always been available, man. So when Nationwide answer their own questions, it is crazy to me. When Nationwide say, we have questions, and then answer it without calling, I'm always available.
All right. Thank you. That is Senator Damien Crawford. He is the opposition spokesperson for education and youth. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
More after this, listeners. Well, actually, we'll be taking your calls after this, listeners. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Truth is, you can live life to the fullest with HIV. This time signal is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The time is
7:11.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-link?
Start the school year healthy and ready. Bring the kids to the Nationwide 90 FM Back to School Fair for vision and dental checks, blood pressure and blood sugar tests, and even immunization support. It's peace of mind for parents and a confident start for students. Join Team Revolution on Saturday, August 9 from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay. Don't miss the Nationwide 90 FM Back to School Fair.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. As I said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-9371-4 and 618-8255. But before we go to the lines, I have been reminded that we did have an outside broadcast scheduled today to start at 6 o'clock, and it would have taken us up to 8 o'clock. But unfortunately, due to some technical challenges, that has been cancelled. So for that time being now, for the third and final hour, as I said, we're going to the lines and taking your calls. Michael, good evening. You're on the line.
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
Doing quite well.
Good, Michael.
Yeah, man. Up in the listening, you're coming by, he's a referee, man.
Come again?
The 7 is a little coming like he's a referee, like when Cassius Clay suddenly stands up. Yeah. Gotta like how you angle two sides of the story, you know, man.
No, as I said, Senator Crawford has his view, and I understand where he's coming from. I don't agree with him in terms of the provisions of the JTC bill and him believing it's overly punishing, but I understand with some level of clarity where he's coming from. And I've said this before, he is advocating for the teachers. I'm advocating for the children in question and the youth of the nation. And I believe that in this discussion, their requirements and their needs should be foremost in all of those.
Man, I'm 63 years now, you know. And the man, them can't second the little youth, them were born in the 20s, they go school and thing, man. A plain thing.
And I understand, Michael, but I think we have struggled to get this JTC bill over the final hurdle for the better part of 30 years. And at what point are we just going to say obstruction is being done for the sake of obstruction?
You see, the man them lazy both sides, man, and then don't do the work with it done. That's why the country's the way back, you know. Agriculture and education should have been being talking. All a man like me up in the bush, you know. You should have get the farm worker them come in some farm, come work on 6 hours so we can reach back like a Jamaica. Yeah. So they have to step up both sides of them. 6 hours and a half of those not the other, you know. The work King George, they turn over to Queen Elizabeth. And things, she turned over to the King Charles, you know. All the crown land, them also almost there in the mountains here, you know. Our land, Her Majesty the Queen.
All right, Michael. So how's the coffee farming going up there, Michael? You getting through?
Say that again.
How is the coffee farming going? You getting by?
Yeah, man, but enough work here, like, that's why I know the price to raise not less than $20,000. So, if 9 years ago we are get 15, 14,000 things, and then
you're not gonna get that anymore, though.
3,000, and then it did a couple years until them step up and come at $800. When I'm done, $90,000 and I'm done. When I'm give you $100 for the $1,000, that time coffee done.
All right, Michael. But at least you get it by Michael, and you're able to make your living and you're surviving. All right.
Yeah, man. I survive because I'm not slaves in the work in Babylon, man. And all the slaves them about the election between PNP and JLP. I don't want to hear one sound. Just be nice, because we all are one family.
All right, Michael. Thank you for the call.
Siobhan, before we go to the other caller, I wanted to say something about the JTC the JTC bill. One of the things that I've recognized is that teachers, they're of the belief that the JTC is, when it comes into being, it's really stripping them of the powers that they currently have. And I believe that's one of the things that they strongly oppose. And if you recognize, even with the matter of the majority of seats on the JTC board, that is the reason, that many of them are calling for more teachers to hold the majority seat, right? To ensure that their voices and their professional autonomy that they're trying to preserve, it's preserved from the regulatory standpoint if the JTC even come into action. So yes, they want to try and prevent it, by outlining all those different things. But let's say it still go ahead. At least if they have the majority on the board, they can still steer the conversation.
And I think that is a bit one aspect of Senator Crawford's statement that's a bit contradictory, because when it comes to professional standards for doctors and lawyers, we accept that those individuals are accountable to themselves in terms of their practice. But the teachers have to be accountable to somebody else, because as a result, they're not teaching for themselves. We have the younger generation, the youth, to consider in that equation, and how they interact with that youth is important. Therefore, it cannot be a situation where said JTC council or the board, whichever way you want to call it, is in some way dominated by a profession when you have other stakeholders to consider. And even in that case, they still do dominate the JTC council, because they make up, I think, as he said, 33%.
Yes.
Which means that in order for them, in terms of the teachers, not to get their way in terms of a vote, the other members would have to almost unanimously agree to go against them.
And then, I think it's a little bit disingenuous to now speak about the resources within the schools. And when you match a champion against one of those other schools within the country, because...
But even in that argument, Sanjay...
You can't look at it in isolation.
But even in that argument, Sanjay, are we suggesting that if we took some of the teachers who are up at an elite school like Campion and sent them to a school, even if it's an under-resourced school, we could not expect an improvement? I'm not saying that it will be night and day, but are we suggesting that because of the way, in terms of how teachers are pretty much beholden to themselves as to where they wish to work, because I don't believe you have the ability to say, well, Campion is well-resourced with teachers, we'd like some of your teachers to send them down X, Y, and Z. Do you believe in terms of that concentration, if we change the ability of teachers to an extent, be beholden to the education system as to its needs and requirements, that would not improve the education system?
It would definitely improve the system. As you indicated, may not necessarily be in all cases night and day, but certainly we would see some improvement.
Accountable to themselves, lawyers can do anything. No, that's not what I mean. I'm talking in terms of their practice, a lawyer's practice. He is accountable to how that practice is maintained in terms of the resources it's provided, the clients that they take on, etc., etc. Teachers do not have that same luxury. They report to, as Senator Crawford said, a school board. They, to some level, have an accountability to the Ministry of Education, etc. Lawyers and doctors only have an accountability to their professional standards and to their client base and themselves.
I remember some lawyers are their own boss, they run their own show.
Precisely. Oliver, good evening.
Rastafari live it, you know what I mean? Manners and respect, me general.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, you see when I listen to Mr. Crawford, boy, me scratch me head Rasta. Because as a fellow Rasta, me not hear him a defend education from the place where it be a defend. And the youth them come first in education in a Rasta. You see it? He look like him a defend those people who have an X that they can put beside the head.
That's precisely what I put it, Oliver. I don't want to put such a cynical view in Damien Crawford's mouth, but in my opinion, that's how it comes down. Youth can't vote. Why do we need to advocate for them? They can't vote.
Far right. What's the right, no general? My boss, I tell you, so when we are dealing with education, are the beneficiaries are the primary focus lead, and then we are dealing with the duty bearers who are the administrators afterwards. But when you check the education spending in the country, I one of the biggest budget, not true.
No, outside of the Ministry of Finance, if you take the debt that we repay out of the equation, the education budget is the biggest. And the proportion of that budget, 67 to 70%, is to pay teachers.
All right, me general, you are see the thing, Rastafari. So if the teachers I get 67% of the budget for education, then Rasta we must regulate and make sure so we set the system right. Accountability, family. How me sound?
It's funny that I made that exact same argument not too long ago. I would say, if we look at it as a simple mathematical equation, if we are saying that accountability should be proportional to the amount of resources spent, the teachers would be the greatest stakeholders in terms of the amount of money spent on education. So they should really receive the greatest level of scrutiny. But obviously, there are other factors that have to be brought into consideration. But if we go on a pure mathematical equation, they would hold the brunt of the responsibility in terms of education spend.
Rasta, the Crawford lose it as a man who has a Rastafari. Because Rasta believe in the future, the youth them represent that. Me general, the next thing me hear the man I say is that the people want measure teacher performance based on student performance. I have followed this thing and I never hear that mentioned in far right. So I want to educate the Rasta.
He's saying that is covered under competency, but as I said, I think that is a very uncharitable interpretation of that statute to suggest that what we're saying is that if your class of students is getting D's when they should be getting B's or A's, that we're going to suggest that you be disbarred as a teacher. I don't believe there's any such intent within the JTC bill for that.
Right.
When you talk to competencies, we're talking about professional competencies.
I don't educated like the rest of me, Jenna. I just listen the thing and I follow this woman Dixie Morris lady there, and she explained the thing. I never Rasta hear her. I say no, like in fact. I hear she say why they not rush to put it in a law because they want to make sure they all stakeholders are on board Rasta. So Crawford, I move like Diddy Man and Red Bull thing. You want to get Crawford. And the youth them promote Rasta. I could deal with the youth them because I have a brethren who left John Dung and gone long time gone teacher England, but if him never have a license, them let him go long time. Every minute him have a renewing license fire. You see, and them man they big in the English public school system. And if you know what we have first world system, that means you know what we have first world youth. You see. Fire Rastafari. You see?
All right.
You ain't no break shit.
All right. Thank you for the call.
You know, Siobhan, you're right. Because the JTC bill does not explicitly say that teachers will be measured by performance matrix in the traditional sense. Yeah. And I think, as you indicated, Senator Crawford is trying to botch it under the professional conduct, which is a little bit disingenuous of Senator Crawford, because I don't think that the bill in any way is trying to say that if students are not performing at a certain level, you're not getting the certain results, then the teachers will be punished based on that. Eh?
I mean, I will give Crawford one thing. He says that the need for a background check at recertification might be unnecessary. I can take that point. Because if you have run afoul of the law and in such a way that it would prevent you from teaching, I would expect that the police, at the very minimum, would take it upon themselves to inform the council or any other, the school, that such a thing has happened.
So with many teachers, though, Siobhan,
I can see the necessity of requiring that background check, but I can see how we could, if that were the thing upon which the bill passing. But bill has passed, actually. Upon that thing becoming law, that was the one aspect keeping it back. I would allow to say, yes, let them skirt the need for a background check as long as the recertification remains a requirement at a specific interval. If it's not 5 years, 6 years, something to say that the teacher has proven to us that they maintain a certain level of standard in the profession and can continue within it. I believe that's a fair compromise.
I think, though, that the additional layer, it doesn't hurt. What I will say is that the improvements, and we have seen some improvements already to the police record system, we need to take it even further, where someone can apply and the information is sent from the police to whichever entity that needs it. And they can do all of that online without having to go to the physical space to get it, because they would have your fingerprint on record already if you do it once. So you go and get that police record once, and then after that, you don't need to go back to do the fingerprint again. You can just request it online, and the information is sent from one entity to the other. So make that process simpler then.
Yes, I will give Senator Crawford that one, because, but it's such a minor point that I think it's irrelevant to the actual discussion as to the importance of the JTC bill. Carl, good evening.
Evening, Shiva. Evening, Sanjay.
Hey, Carl. Good evening.
How you doing, man? I think Damien Crawford need to stay in goat farm. That's right. Right there, it belongs. I want to ask you something, Sanjay. Damien Crawford is running an egg farm and a goat farm. And most likely have a supervisor there. Most likely. And if he employ two other young youths, have to come to the supervisor for anything. So if they take up 300 eggs, the young youth, then we pick up the egg, have to report to the supervisor. The supervisor report to Damien Crawford, because him have a business which him have to supply. You want to tell me, say, the taxpayer of Jamaica is paying teachers, and then if you have no accountability concerning that? What is rubbish Damien Crawford is talking?
His thing is, Carl, is not that they're against accountability, but he's of the belief that the council or the bill, the way it is set up, it's there to punish teachers in a sense.
And let me ask you something also, Sanjay. The teachers, them always left here the ending of May, June. Go and look about the job overseas. Collect all of those 3 months. And September morning, when you want to have teachers in your classroom, you can't find them. You see a letter put on the desk. For the taxpayer of Jamaica revenue. What rubbish is this senator, call himself senator, talking about? And also business run Damien Crawford. If I say you run your goat farm, remain in there. But that's how not business run.
But I don't know, why are you disparaging goat farms and chicken business like that? Because I'm fairly certain a certain level of scrutiny is placed on Damien Crawford's goat farming and egg business in terms of maintaining standards.
All right, Sanjay.
You're supporting Carl's point, Siobhan.
No, but that's what I'm saying. He should not disparage goat farms and egg farms like that. Why can't you?
Correct, Siobhan. But him are running business proper. But the taxpayer of Jamaica, business must not run properly. We must take anything where teachers them give to it. Because it's the politics time, he come with him bag of garbage, which him vote on the bill in the Senate. So shut your mouth.
Well, he claims he did not vote on the bill.
Yeah,
and it's interesting now that we're changing that standard in terms of what is considered bipartisan support.
No, but hold on. Let me ask Carl, because Carl, you follow the politics. When an opposition party, they want to show that they disagree with a bill, isn't it the standard that they call for a divide?
Thank you very much. And him shut up his mouth inside the Senate the Friday. And by the Tuesday, the British white man will not have no age paper for the country. Must call him and say, how could you agree with this now? And you know, said there is an election.
I recall
with a slippers.
I believe it was the 2020 elections when they were certifying, well, not the 2020 election, when they were certifying the budget one of these years, and the opposition was vehemently against that budget. Even if they did not have any way of blocking the passing of that, they walked out and said they're not supporting it.
Thank you. And him sit inside the Senate the Friday. And it's by the Tuesday, them a call press conference.
It is this. It is.
Jamaica people, them.
Look, anybody that follow the Westminster system, you know that if you know you can't win, you can't win. But you want to show that you don't agree, you call for the divide.
Sanjay, thank you very much, Sanjay. But you can't wait till you sit inside the Senate the Friday. And the Tuesday you call a press conference. Yes, that's the immediate. That is in the Senate Friday. You must oppose it right there and say you not agree with it.
No, he voiced his concerns. Now, I'm not going to suggest that Senator Crawford did not stand up there and raise his concerns. But I am saying that when it came to the point of voting, when it came to asking for addendums to the bill, he did not voice any further attempts to say anything else.
Until it Tuesday in final fault.
And I mean, we're not suggesting that the senator or any member of the opposition, considering a vote required a simple majority, would have been able to stop the bill at that process. Clearly. But we're talking about the democratic process. You have an issue with something, you do at every corner, every turn, you say, I have an issue, please change this. During the debate, you put forward your position. When they were calling for passing the amendments to the bill, why didn't you say, no, sir, I want you to change this, I want you to change that, I want you to change this, for them to shoot you down there, and then you go to the part where they're saying, okay, let us vote on passing the legislation. You say, no, sir, I don't support this bill. That is my understanding.
Make the country see anyhow, Sanjay, I mean, I have no time much to wait with Damien Crawford now. A few days left or a few more weeks left. We'll get rid of them again. Anyhow, the Prime Minister said something in Westmoreland or tomorrow Friday we'll make about 2 Fridays ago. Those are progress for me. Prime Minister said all who owe land tax over $150,000, it will be, some of it will be written off, just like the amnesty which the people them get for the water business. And him said it also for housing trust. Want to take you back now and ask you, Sanjay.
Yes.
You want to ask you a question. You know, so me have to ask you a question. You know that. If we didn't have a good economy, could a government give up those things?
No, absolutely not.
So if me ask you now, Sanjay, if you're in a good job, where then give you all a car, then give you gas to run it, you get traveling allowance, all of those things, would you give it up to something which you don't know about?
No, I wouldn't.
All right.
So it's a devil you know argument, Carl?
Yeah, you know. But I have something for him, you know. Wait, make him go and finish the point, and then I have something to ask you.
All right. So, Sanjay, if the Jamaica people should have make a mistake and put hole in a pot, you will be buying a pussy in a bag.
Well, you know, I've been very clear that the PNP is yet to articulate, if they become government, what exactly they will do. Because telling people that time come, well, certainly for me, I don't know for others, that is not enough, you know. But the question that I want to ask you, though, Carl, and Siobhan and I were discussing it yesterday, we understand the politics and how polarized it is. And you know you have the tribalists, those who outrightly, like yourself, support one party, the JLP, and you have others that support the PNP. The problem that we are having is you have a number of undecided voters who are just sitting on the fence and then not voting. And that may be the decider in the election, because if they decide to stay home, it's which party can really bring out their faithfuls to come out and vote.
And I
But the JLP may be in trouble.
Well, I am sure that I don't into no trouble. Somebody is into trouble, but not me.
No. But this is the point, though, because traditionally we understand that. Well, yeah.
So are you saying then, Sanjay, that when you look around the people who in Jamaica and see what is happening today, would you say much of them, not a lot of them, don't think for them oneself?
No, I'm not saying that, we're separating the tribalists. We know people on both sides. Regardless of what is happening, they're going to vote for their political party. Traditionally, we understand that the PNP, for a very long time, had more base supporters than the JLP. And we were seeing this. No. Hold on. That's why I said traditionally. But we see that it's changing.
Wait, that is not around again.
No. That's what I'm saying. Traditionally, that has been the case, but we're seeing that it is changing, right? So I will accept that. Right. My problem is the undecided voters who they just say they're not voting, and I have a problem with that, because if you are so happy, as you indicated, you're in a job and you're getting all the things that you require, then why is it that you're not showing your support? That's a problem that I have.
I have that problem also to Sanjay. And many times at evening time or even in the morning, I have to try to. I took a young guy from Maypen when last week was evening. And I was playing nationwide and listening to the young guy. And he understand a lot of things. And hear him give out a word. But I don't care what happened now. Me now vote. You know, saying couldn't left out of my vehicle before me convince him.
And that is the work that you guys have to do on the ground, you know?
Let me not deal with politics. And I also asked my minister to go and see him. Anyhow, I asked him that most one man you come out and you can't get a vehicle to go to work and you didn't take any part into your politics, would you have anything to complain about? He saying having fear. I said that is not enough. That is not enough. He said the only way you must take part in your politics in your country is two of them are evil, but you must look upon the two evil. And then me start name him some things what happened around Jamaica. And I said to him, do you have one data on your phone? Go and check it. Go on the government website and check those things. All of these things build out of your revenue of your country. To be very honest to you, I feel to say my personal government need to put out more things. Even the two things that I tell you about, the land, business, and the housing trust. The Prime Minister just talk about it, but who out the door tell it more than just a few of us. And anyhow, Sanjay, last and final.
And it supports my point that I've said that you can't be overconfident. No political party should be overconfident. No. Treat the election as if you're not sure. And when you treat the election as if you're not sure, that's when you go out and you win.
Right. Anyhow, Sanjay, I want to say something. And if you go anywhere nowadays,
yes,
and you have to shake anybody's hand, please always remember, have a sanitizer immediately as then done. For what Mr. Golden have done, it needs, we elbow you for elbow people nowadays. Don't shake nobody's hand. Please remember.
All right.
Thank you,
Carl. We are back into COVID.
Don't wish that on the country, Carl.
We're not wishing that on the country. Don't shake nobody's hand, master. That's very out of order.
All right, Carl. Richie, good evening.
Good evening, Sanjay.
Hi, Richie. Good evening.
Good evening, Bridget. How you do?
Good. Say now you're up, Chef.
I said good evening to you, man.
Oh.
I said good evening for the Richie, so I say good evening. You know, I'm having be good up first, you know.
Oh.
I listened to them and cover this evening. Yes. They talk about how much percentage of the education system was in 2016. But I'm going to remind him the reason why that happened, the specialist teachers, they live in Jamaica. And the reason why they live in they live in going to greener pastures because our dollar value a little bit. So they go on where they can get big money. And I'm agreeing with them. But he needs to remember that the dollar doesn't value very little nothing, very little bit because of his party. because they are the ones that cause the dollar to run away so much. And you need to remember that. Next point, Sanjay. We're talking about, the election coming up.
Yes.
If you believe the PMP have that strong base anymore, you're wrong. They had it, but not anymore.
No, but Richie. No, but Richie, remember that I said traditionally, but we're seeing that it's changing. Remember I said that.
Okay, well, very good. Because that's the part I was going to. Because, you see, I followed Michael Mann for years before I had a vote, And I jumped on the bandwagon and called PJ Fresh Prince. And it's since Bruce Golden become Prime Minister, that is where I changed and said JLP, And many, many, many more. And to every election that I can remember, people been streaming from the PMP to JLP. I said, this one, you'll be surprised to the amount of PMP supporters. Center term now. I know some guys in my community, I know a set of PMP supporters. They say it is Peter Bunting and Damien Crawford, not Peter Bunting and the General Secretary. When him again, they said that they are the ones who much of the party. You think they're going to vote?
You're talking Dayton Campbell?
Dayton Campbell.
Oh.
They say it's Peter Bunting and Dayton Campbell much of the party. And those people vote heavily in the parish council election. They're not going to vote. You may say they're not going to vote. The PMP base is not strong anymore.
All right,
Richie. If you notice, the younger generation are following the JP.
No, and I don't necessarily agree with that one. What I recognize is that while the JLP will have more younger supporters, generally, many of them they sit on the fence. They're the undecided. That's the problem. I used to teach at UCC. I used to do politics there, and when you walk in that class and you ask the students, young people, how many of you are registered to vote? They put up their hands. How many of you use a voter's card just for identification? And most of their hands stay up. And they tell you they're not interested in the politics at all. And
so tell me something. You said that was when?
This was I stopped teaching there maybe a year or two ago.
Well, Richie, I can tell you this. I am registered up at the University of the West Indies. I am taking law and governance just this last semester. And the amount of people who show an interest in the political situation in Jamaica, very limited to very few.
Listen me.
And that is the future of the nation in terms of our future professionals.
I'm going to tell you something. You see, back in PJ days, the PMP party make every effort to get the youngsters voting. Enumerate. The JLP do it. They are doing it now. I can tell you they are doing it now. You know?
All right, I'm not disagreeing with you. As I said, I don't know what the politics on the ground is. I can't speak to the remuneration efforts of the two parties. We will see when it comes to election day. We will see.
And I'm saying the same thing also.
The JLP is doing enough for people to see why they keep saying the church. I'm going to tell you something again now. I have to charter a taxi the other day to take up some things, and I drive in it. Two guys was in it. The driver and next one. The driver should be in his 20s. The next man should be in his 50s. And they're talking politics. The driver said, my whole entire family, we have JLP supporters voting JLP. The next man said, my whole family is PMP, and I never vote yet. And I'll be on the third term because I see what Andrew Wallace is doing to build by the country. This man was there. Have the experience of what happened under PG administration. The people are streaming from PMP dangerous to the JLP this time because they see what Andrew Wallace is carrying the country.
I really want to see the data once we've had that election.
And that's the next thing. Do we do exit polls in Jamaica in terms of getting an understanding of the demographics? I think it's something we need to remedy in the country. I would love to see the proper demographic of the voting base of the country come the end of the next election to see where the future of the country actually lies in terms of voting. I don't think we're doing that, and I think that's something that the ECJ should be given a budget to do, regardless of whichever political party is in power. They should be given a budget to do the proper exit poll demographics of the country.
And I'm going to tell you something for last. You see, in Jamaica, we vote mainly for Prime Minister's board and MP. And if an MP is not even doing enough, they will vote for Andrew Wallace. That will help the MP. And that is one of the big reasons why you see the election will be easily win by JLP. Third term.
All right, Richie. I hope for your party that you're still doing what you need to do on the ground and you're not going into this believing that you're easily going to get 50 seats.
Siobhan.
Yes?
I'm not a JLP supporter now.
Okay, no, so you're just a JLP voter.
I am a Jamaican. I'm looking.
And you just voted JLP. But still, you see the Holness administration going into a third term, right?
Of course, easily too.
So are you doing what you need to do as part of your belief that they should get a third term to convince those around you?
I'm going to tell you something again. You know, I get a vote for Mr. Charles Jr. I know that live into his community. Is whatever. And I asked her if she's going to vote. She said no. I said why? I said who you vote? I said Jay. And I convinced her till I why she need to vote Jay. She's going to wear. I want to tell you something. Again, my plan was to spend some time with the government into the marginal constituencies to help the government to election. But I just couldn't manage it, so I decided to spend the time on the radio to educate people, and I know I catch a lot of people. I educate a lot of people.
All right, Richie. Okay. As I say, don't be overconfident. If you want you say it's not your party, but if you want the party that you believe should get the next term to win, you should put that support out there as well. Who do you have?
That's what I'm doing.
All right, Richie.
Thank you, Richie.
Courtney, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening. Listen to them on the first time call.
And Siobhan. Remember Siobhan?
Big up yourself, Siobhan.
Evening.
Yeah, man.
Are you on speaker? Can you take yourself off speaker and come and just talk directly to the headset?
Come again.
Are you on speaker? Can you take yourself off speaker and talk directly to the headset?
Yeah, man. No problem. Hold on.
I'm probably using
Okay.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, this thing with Damian Crawford. Yes. Damian Crawford is somebody we used to look up to, because he always have some good ideas and he always come with some. But lately, me realize, not lately, a good while now, from him lose to me soulness. I realize him gone. Him go further and further and further offline. He must sound more and more like Peter Bunting and Dr. Dawes and even Mark Bolin. He must sound more and more like them because he don't know when to run joke and when to be serious. Because he have too much gimmicks. And everything you can bring gimmicks in. There's a time and place for everything. You see me? So, and he might try put across this notion, like what the PMP them do when them raise the pay. Them take the pay, and then come out and say them not with it. And at the same thing now, he might do with the bill, with the education bill with them pass. Because, of course, they had concern. But the concern they had should have been used not to make the bill not pass, even though the government had majority. But if they had raised those concerns publicly and say, yo, we're not in support of this bill, none at all, as what they are doing now, then I don't believe the bill would have been passed through the House. At that time, the government would have to stop and take a look and consider before they pass it. And now he's coming out swinging as if the opposition was all against it, and I don't believe it is so.
Well, as I pointed out to Senator Crawford, he was the only person who spoke on the opposition side during that debate. He says, because he was speaking for the entirety of the opposition. And that statement kind of bowled me because that's not how I understand things work in the Senate. When the members of the Senate have a disagreement in terms of any proposed piece of legislation, whether it's opposition or government, the members all voice their concerns or all voice their support, or a significant number do. Remember when I believe it was the matter of which legislation was it? I believe it was it was the one regarding the mandatory minimums and the concerns about that. There was not a single member of the opposition who did not get up and say, we have a concern about this. So I find it very strange.
And they were all quiet. Damon Crawford was the only one that spoke in the Senate. And
now he's coming out and behaving as if everybody did get up and say something, and didn't. But because
he says he said that he was speaking for everyone that was there.
But that's not the purpose of the Senate. That's not how the Senate is designed.
I know. I agree with you, but I was just saying what he said.
The teachers obviously have a problem with it. So they, upon recognizing that the teachers have a big problem with it, they are jumping on the bandwagon with the teachers now as if they were opposing it from the beginning. But
the teachers will perpetually have a problem with it just on the basis of what it is. Yes. And I believe that that's not how we should be governing.
No, and I believe Senator Dixon said
when Reverend Thwaites was the one putting forward that JTC bill, the teachers had a problem with it as well. Okay. I recall that very pellucidly. When it was Reverend Ronald Thwaites putting forward that JTC bill, the teachers had a problem with it then as well.
Yes. So and now that this, I believe I heard Senator Dana Dixon said, yes, there are things in there that they will have to look on again and come to a decision. And this is the way to go, because the teachers, and she said the bill should have been passed by successful governments who didn't. So now this government is trying to do so. I don't see why the senator, I don't see why Mr. Crawford is coming out now, swinging as if they had done anything better before.
As I said, Carlo, we have to just recognize the reality, and I don't want to be cynical about this because I hate cynical views of the country, but it just comes down to where they expect votes to come when election is called later this year, and it certainly is not going to come from the youth.
No,
it's not going to. They don't expect it to come from the average parent or the average person. They expect that, considering the Garrison JTA base that it is, where they can count that they will vote come election day, they are supporting that Garrison.
Look, what is important, well, let me not say it that way. The PNP, they know that the Jamaica Teachers Association is a powerful union, yeah?
Yeah.
And I will say that they have taken a political risk to not support the bill because they will use it now as a political machinery, so to speak, to gain votes. Yes. But what I will say is there are certain pieces of legislation that requires bipartisan support, to ensure the national buy-in and the long-term success of the bill. And I think the JTC bill is one example. It is clear, as Siobhan indicated, that many teachers will not support this bill.
Right.
Yeah, because you're taking away certain powers. Right. But that is where we need political maturity from the government and the opposition to move this forward.
And a viewer on YouTube reminded me, because it slipped my mind at the time, that at the conclusion of the debates surrounding the JTC bill in the Senate, I don't know if it was Damon Crawford, but I recall a member of the opposition got up and thanked her for bringing it this far. So it really comes to your mind now as to where we are going in terms of our disingenuous nature when we attack certain things.
Exactly. And I hear you guys speaking about the ones sitting on the fence, undecided on the fence. No, it is. I always say this thing, I am not going to sit idle by and let nobody determine my future for me. I
agree with you exactly.
Let it be that the way I voted, it didn't turn out my way. Mm-hmm. But I am not going to just sit idly by. I see something going on, and it's benefiting me, even if it's not benefiting me, I see where it is benefiting the country.
I am
going to be a part of that because I want the country to benefit in not the short term, but in the longer run. It will benefit, and if I don't benefit, my kids will benefit or my grandkids will benefit. But if I sit idly by and watch the good thing going on, don't take part in it, and then somebody come along and spoil all of that good thing, I am going to be the one who is complaining. I am going to be. If you notice, those sitting on the fence have the loudest voice, and because the emphasis is placed on them, I believe that is why they keep sitting on the fence.
No, but I agree with you, Colin. I've said it before. The less people who vote, the more power you give to to the individuals that do vote.
Right.
And it makes it easier to affect the outcome of an election with fewer people. Definitely. That is what you've concentrated the power of the electorate, so to speak, in the hands of fewer and fewer people by actually taking yourself away from the voting process.
Yes. That is correct. That is exactly the way it goes. And I don't believe that helps the democracy in any way.
It doesn't. And I've said before that when politicians know that it's not an easy win, and you keep them at the fire, they will work even harder. Look at the constituencies that are marginal. You see both government and opposition, they're working to ensure that they're swaying and convincing people to vote for them. Look at the garrison communities. They don't have to do much because what? If I do much or I don't do anything at all, the vote's already secure. Exactly.
And that is wrong. Because other people, even the younger people suffers. What my age group was suffering from, because we are now experiencing some of the luxury. What we suffer from under the hands of the PNP, that was the mistake that our foreparents made. And I believe one of the problems that we are having in Jamaica today is a problem of people reading, knowing what took place. History is a very important
I said that so many times. If we should go back to the 1970s, read up what happened.
Yes.
All right.
Read. Don't take what me tell you, say. I can only tell you what I always have this notion, you know. You cannot tell a man we get a gunshot or a gunshot feel.
Yes.
He must tell you how it feels. So if you don't go back and read up, you will only be misled, or you will have to accept what you hear.
Yes. Spot on.
Thank you, Carlo. Unfortunately, that's where we have to wrap it up, listeners. And YouTubers, again, specific thanks to the YouTubers, again, proving you're one of the most intellectual audiences in Jamaica. Thank you all for your contributions. Thank you to our super producer, Dana Davey. Thank you to our technical operator, Andrew the Glen Boogs Anderson, as well as my compatriots in the news and production department, led by the very, very capable Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjelis. I don't see Marigold in the chat today. My bad. I'm seeing her now.
You can't never count up Marigold.
Right? Have yourself, listeners, a wonderful weekend. Goodbye.
Are you ready for something